Welcome, one and all, once again to La Notte Eterna. The night is new, the moon is high, and here we are to once again tread into the eternal night as we tell another tale here on the channel. I'm Kevin, your host and humble game master tonight, and as you all know, I am leading a group of very stalwart and true heroes into the eternal night. Some new fresh faces you're going to see on the channel here. I'm very excited to bring everybody together. It's going to be an amazing story. Before we dive in proper, let me say that La Notte Eterna is in fact a new 5th edition Grimdark campaign setting that is put out by Ali Rebelli, written by Jason Forbes. It is available at the link you see floating above me. You can get your copy of the quick start and also check out the setting in its entirety. It's a really cool setting, very grim and very dark indeed. The sun hasn't risen in 161 years, and here are heroes dealing with that. So let's meet them, shall we? Let's go ahead. Let's start. We're going to start right here on my left. Adrian, welcome to the channel, my friend. We've played together before, and this is my first time having you here. Such a pleasure to have you here, my friend. Please tell the folks who you are real quick. Just, who you're playing tonight. We'll save the proper things for later, but just let us know a little blurb about you, a little bit of taste of things to come.
Hi. Well, my name is Adrian, and tonight I will be playing the Wandering Knight. His full name is Sir Caden Elios, but he goes by Cade. He's a wandering knight that has been going through the darkness. He's kind of known as the Dark Crusader. He pops up in random towns here and there along with his group of friends and his trusty horse. He has this kind of dark helmet and this like really, really moonlight shining sword. And he's a kind of a mystery, but he's also kind of a nice guy, which is actually, for those who know him, is kind of, he has a very kind of dark demeanor. Some people say he's been sun-kissed because he has got darker skin than usual. Without there being a sun, I think people are quite pale these days. But it looks like he comes from a family line of old wandering knights, Order of Stride, I do believe it is. And he sticks by his friends. He's got a very kind of unusual but very happier than normal demeanor, and I guess one of the key things people recognize him, he's got a scar, a mysterious scar on his neck that looks like a bite mark. Looks like a couple of fangs have bitten him right on the neck. It's kind of sneaky, but we'll see how the story develops.
Interesting. Well, thank you so very much for that, Adrian. It's going to be an absolute pleasure to have you here, and I can't wait to see what you bring to the table with Cade, so thank you. Let's jump on to the other side. A friend who you've seen on the channel before, but first time in this arc, she's playing a brand new character with us tonight. Hi, Beth. How you doing? What's going on? Good to see you back.
Oh, hi. Glad to be here. Speaking of pale characters, both
I'm
me
right here.
and
Don't
my
talk about me like
character.
that. No.
It's fine. You know what? Luck of the Irish.
Mhm.
I tonight am going to be playing a character named Isra. She is a Karevi, which I believe you've seen before in these streams. So she is just kind of inherently creepy looking, but she is also kind of creepy in her personality. Yeah, she's just creepy. And she is actually friends with one of the other characters, and they've done quite a bit of traveling together. I guess, yeah, you'll hear more about her soon.
Excellent. Well, Beth, it's great to have you here. Can't wait to see what you're going to bring to the table with Isra. It's going to be amazing. So thank you much for being here. Let's jump down to the bottom row. Another new face here on the channel, but no new face to me. Deb is awesome. Played together before and here and many, well, not here. I just said she was new here. Sorry. Many other places we've played together. See, I'm so excited that this cast is here. I can't even talk straight. But Deb, tell everybody a little bit about your character and what you're doing here tonight, please.
Absolutely. I'm Deb, and I will be playing Flora. She is a Willowy, and she is probably the newest member of our merry band of misfits, and follows along with the group. She is the youngest member of the group as well, and she is, just trying to survive in this dark, dark world.
Indeed she is. And yeah, she will. This is amazing. I'm really excited to see what you bring. So Deb, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Finally, you have heard of his exploits off screen, as he's been our producer here the entire time. He's producing tonight while he plays because he's just that awesome. Everybody, please welcome Miko. Hey Miko, what's up, man?
Hi there. Hello, everyone. I am Miko, otherwise known as the OKSGM, and yes, I have done a few episodes of producing here and there on this channel. All of them, really. Um, and once again, I get to bring a lovely character to the screen this time around, although I'm not entirely sure everyone is going to love just how dark he actually is. And that's all I'm gonna say for now.
Excellent, excellent. Yes, we are playing a grimdark setting, and these four understood the assignment, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes out tonight. So, Miko, thank you for being here on this side of the screen. And yes, again, we're stepping into the Eternal Night, and these four characters are level 9, so they're a little bit higher than what we've seen on the channel thus far. But with that, they're going to bring some really cool, new, exciting things. So, without any further ado, let's do it, shall we? Let's dive right into Notte Eterna with Blood Domain. So, in an age long past, 161 years to be exact, there was a time when the sun would rise and fall in accordance with the way it would move across the sky. And in this time, there were dark beasts that would slither out in the night, their numbers kept low by the fact that hunters and curses of the bright sun would keep them at bay. These demons made flesh, as some would call them, the dead who walk, the blood wakers, would find themselves moving through the dark until eventually the dark allowed them to walk even further. When the sun set 161 years ago, the vampire came out from beneath their dark hiding spots and took up residence in an area known as the Blood Domain. It is ruled over by the Hijlaki, which are the high-ranking vampires, a progeny of dark beings with powers that are unknown even to the staunchest of current-day hunters. The Hijlaki are an evil and destruction-bent race, and they have subjugated those around them and forced them into an oblivious and somewhat devastated state. The Blood Domain is an area that there is absolute rule with an iron fist, and no one questions that iron rule, except perhaps maybe now. Our tale tonight will begin just outside of the Blood Domain's borders proper, in an area that is just to the south, on the island of Near, where most of our stories in Notte Eterna takes place. In the upper sections of the Oasis of Zay, there is a small caravan, a small carriage, just big enough to hold 4 distinct individuals riding within. There is a horse that is nearby, tethered to the side, that is clopping along, and there is an arm that reaches out and tenderly pets the snout of said horse, revealing a very fanciful brocaded glove upon said hand. We will see our attention be pulled down out of the eternal night into this character's view, and we will see a very handsome and stout character indeed, the character of Cade. And Adrian, you did give us a nice little glimpse into exactly who Cade is and what Cade might look like. But in this moment, as your carriage is making its way towards the outskirts of the Blood Domain, if you could, what exactly is going through Cade's mind, and what sort of memories does he have in this moment as he gets closer to this area?
Cade rides on his good old trusty riding horse, lovingly called Luna. There have been many times this white horse has saved his life and has been his utmost companion since the day that this horse started following him around randomly and has never left. As he goes and travels towards his destination, he's always filled with memories of the places that he's been. He's kind of always haunted by some of the things that he's seen, and he never likes to stay at the same place, always kind of running from those memories. It's kind of like a song in your head that you could never get rid of, and it's always wherever you are, always behind your mind. And there's just this kind of siren song in the back of his head for when he was traveling and found many a burning city, and hearing the voice, the strange sounds of the burning wood and the things that he has seen on his adventures. So he listens to his horse trot forward and listening to the calmness of the rhythm, knowing that he's looking forward to seeing a familiar face. It's been a while since he has seen familiar faces. He's seen a lot of different things. Um, his visage at first always looks harder than his soul due to the circumstances of his knighthood. He carries his trusty sword and his leather armor, riding on his horse. He has a shield on his back. His temperament is very serene and solemn, but he's kind of like a lion ready to pounce at anything. His eyes always kind of stay forward, but is always looking through his peripherals, and he's always kind of listening to his surroundings at any point. He's used to being alone, and he's used to listening to nature and everything around. So as he ventures forward, he's finally looking forward to having what he hopes is a little rest.
Indeed. And as you ride along on Luna, Cade, in the vision ahead of you, just coming up over the horizon, as you all approach, you see the outskirts of some light. There are little pinpoints of light that stream through this semi-foggy night. This is the town that you all have been traveling to get to, the town of Farpoint, which is located, as I mentioned, in the northern border of the oasis of Zay. Specifically, there is movement in the carriage next to you as one of your traveling companions, ever so tenderly, takes a hand, puts aside the curtain, and looks out to catch a glimpse of this approaching village. And Isra, if we could, Beth, have you take a moment. What do we see as we follow into the carriage and see her sit back in her chair, knowing that you guys are close to your destination for this night?
You see a pair of eyes that look mirthful, but it's strange because the eyes are completely black. Her skin is incredibly pale, paler than the typical person in this lightless place. And she's got dark hair. She has kind of a smile on her face. You can't really tell, and that's a little bit unsettling. But she's dressed in cloaks of black and green. She sits comfortably, but with pretty decent posture in this space, and she sort of glances out. If you could see pupils, you would know that she's tracking and looking everywhere out there, but it's kind of just a dark void staring out at what's coming towards them. And she glances to her companions for a moment, gives an excited nod, and then continues to look out the window.
Definitely. Her eyes do have a little bit of an abyssal look to them. Being a Karevi, a member of a new race here in Notte Eterna that is tied specifically to the dark and was affected by the fall of the sun all those years ago, the Karevi do have a certain affinity for shadow and darkness, and that is apparent in her gaze. Even though it may be mirthful in this moment, it's noticeable nonetheless. She is pale, as she mentioned, and she is even more pale than typical Karevi, which their skin is known to be almost white. So she definitely is a very stark figure that stands out in the night. We also see sitting next to her, her traveling companion for many a year at this point, the being who has even paler skin, if that were possible. He has a certain gaze that is almost stoic and stone-like. Miko, if you could please tell us a little bit about Kalim as we see him for the first time.
Yeah, so yes, Kalim has very pale skin, but where Isra's paleness appears natural, Kalim's is most discernibly not. There are patches of portions of his skin that are very much like deformed almost in a way in their coloration, and everything about him looks as though he would be a person you might see lying in a casket that had fallen to death however many days prior to their wake. And in this particular instance, you wouldn't be too far off for Kalim, except for the fact that his death occurred many years prior to today. And he is, in fact, a reborn half-elf with seemingly very little, as you mentioned, he does have quite a bit of stoicism, and doesn't speak often. But when he does speak, it seems to be thoughtful in how he speaks, and with a great deal of care in the words that he chooses. And in this particular instance, as we're riding along in the carriage, his dark armor seemingly made of shadow itself, giving off wafting shadowy stuffs off of the edges of it. He just simply is looking out the carriage window, seemingly staring out into the night, looking at nothing in particular, and yet seeming to see everything that there is.
Absolutely. Directly across from the two of them is the third and final member of the interior of the carriage, the fourth member of the party riding outside on his horse, Luna. The individual sitting across from them is quite a bit younger than these other two. She has a spry appearance and very noticeable look, as she has her face painted in a very abstract way that might seem different in these lands. Flora is an individual who has her head slightly cocked to the side, as she seems to be listening to some sort of unheard music. Dad, tell us a little bit more about Flora, if you could, please. Tell us a bit about who she is and what she's about right now.
Yeah, Flora is a young woman of about 20. She has a black dress on that's embroidered with flowers. Her hair is as white as it could get. Excuse me, as it could get. And she has, as you said, makeup on her face, and it looks sort of vaguely skeletal. She wears that pretty much all the time. People don't see her normal face without it. She is dressed pretty fashionably. You also notice that across her chest is a bandolier. And instead of having like traditional ammunition or something like that in it, she has a set of bells of varying sizes that are strapped in. And these are her instruments that she plays. And then tucked along her waist to the side is a little doll that she carries with her all the time.
Interesting. There is a movement on the seat next to her as a small white figure, a little creature that has somewhat of a rainbow-esque type of look upon the frills on its back, moves along that doll. The two seem to regard each other, and by the two, we mean this small creature and the doll. And at this moment, your animal companion, your familiar as it were, your Yam Yam, moves, and as Pandemonium slides up and comes to sit up onto your lap, the two of you look to each other for a moment and just have a knowing little glimpse. They seem to hear the song as well, and it's something that nobody else in the carriage can hear at this moment. But outside, Cade, you do notice that the carriage makes its way the rest of the way up to the town of Farpoint. You see that it is perpetually night here in the land of Near, and in this moment you see that there's still people outside. There is about, you'd guess, 24 people that mill about the street, going about what would be basically the last bits of movement of the day, or as we would say, the night here in this land of eternal dark. And you can see that they are putting away different wares. They are closing up shops. They are actually getting ready to go back and bed down for the night, get ready to just kind of relax, as it were. And more than one of them meets your gaze. They don't have any sort of reaction other than just typical noticing that people are coming. As you pull into the town, you do know, as do all of you know, that Far Point is named so because it is the furthest point that goes through this area, and it is right on the border of the Blood Domain, where most people who are not part of the fence would dare travel. So you do know that the people here are ever vigilant and wary about that, and you do see more than one haunted look in the eyes of the people here, almost as if they have lost someone or something recently. And you all arrive. The carriage pulls its way up to a small tavern that you all are making your way towards. It is your typical tavern that is found. It has wood and semi-stone construction on the outside of it, and there is a sign that hangs up on the front that has been long worn by whatever weather would happen in this place, making this tavern not exactly one that's name is really recognizable at this point. But it is the one you seek nonetheless. And as you all arrive, you are free to disembark and go meet who you're here to meet within. So what do you all do in this moment?
So Kalim steps out before the carriage even comes to a full stop, quickly stepping away from the carriage and moving towards the front, kind of looking all about at any living, or I guess in this place, potentially non-living thing that he can see. His hand is clutched tightly around the hilt of his sword, and he basically just does a 360-degree pass around the area, looking for any potential harm for his companions, before coming up to the other side of the carriage and knocking on the door 2 times, as everyone knows that is an indicator, assuming that it seems safe anyway. That's an indicator of safety from his perception.
Definitely. As you knock on the door twice, there is someone nearby who has been watching you walk around the outside of the carriage. They definitely look like they are a bit taken aback by your countenance. You can see they're staring, their eyes are wide, and as you slowly turn to regard them, a movement that's almost imperceptible to anyone unless you make it so, they just look at you, your eyes meet, and they recoil back away. You can see there is an unease. You're used to such a look from people because they don't really typically see the dead walking around, at least not like you. But there is a knock at the carriage indeed, and the carriage door opens, and those inside will finish disembarking, and you all can begin making your way in towards the tavern. What sort of words do we find that crosses the lips of all of you as you make your way within at this point? You were traveling for some time. I'm sure there are many thoughts that sift through your mind at this point.
Well, looks like that you're here.
Go ahead.
You're lagging a bit there, Adrian. Could you say that again? Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
We might be losing Adrian's connection.
Rubbish.
That is right. The eternal night presses on. We will fight through this together, everyone.
What did you say, Beth?
Oh, I was just going to say I'm very grateful that you were able to, look out for us as you always do. But Flora, come, we must go now.
Yes.
Okay.
Fine, let us go. And he will offer, knowing that Isra does not accept his hand when he offers such things, he will offer in hand to Flora to help her down from the carriage.
Okay. The 4 of you make your way across a small little green that is the town square. There's a couple of more gazes that meet all 4 of you at this point, and you enter into the interior of the tavern. When you do, it is a tavern that it looks like it is relatively cozy inside, despite the fact that there is a slight chill outside. You can see that there is quite a bit of people in here at this point. I would say roughly 13 or 14 souls in this area that would probably hold about maybe 1 or 2 more people. So 4 of you entering in at this point is going to be a little bit tight in this space, but it's not tight in terms of discomfort. It's just tight in terms of it's just cramped. There are some tables that are arrayed around the room, and there are several different, you notice, flags and little tabards that are hanging around the perimeter of the room that seem to be a dark red in color. If anybody would like to, they can make either a history test or a religion test to see if they can know anything about specifically what these red flags might be.
You said religion or
22.
what?
Religion or history.
Okay, I'll go religion.
Cool.
That's a natural 20 for a 28.
You know what? That's an auspicious beginning to this little arc. I'm going to be honest. So thank you, Miko, for that.
Whoa.
Natural 20. What did anybody else take a roll?
I rolled a 22 history.
Okay.
Oh, I rolled, but it was not very good.
Okay. And Cade, you are seeing to your horse in this moment, so you don't. Sounds like you don't roll. So at this point, you all notice that these red flags are a bit of a superstition in this land. They are put about to ward away those who are not welcome within. There is a certain, how should I say it, legend of this area that there are people who could sometimes come to your door, and if you do not invite them in, they can't come in without any sort of passage. Kalim, you specifically know with your natural 20 roll, which is going to make you have quite a high check there, that you know that these rumors are true. You have traversed through these lands before, and it might not necessarily be a memory of your unliving life, your reborn life, but perhaps a memory of something deep within from before that. That you know that these flags are used to ward away vampires and other such creatures of the night. Specifically, you remember the word Hijlaki as it sifts through your mind as a faint memory. The high vampires, as it were, they cast a big shadow. So as you all come in, the people inside, again, they notice you. It's nothing out of the ordinary. And there is a figure who sits on the far end of the room. He is looking a little bit nervous, a little bit impatient, and he's sitting there semi-hunched over his seat. He has what looks to be a stein in front of him full of liquid. You can tell because as he's moving, his leg is bouncing in a nervous fashion. The table is shaking and jutting with it in rhythm, and the liquid is spilling over the top at certain intervals. He looks up to see the four of you enter, and he gets a semi-relieved look on his face as he stands. He is a half-orc, and he has broad shoulders. He has a build that looks like he once was probably more athletically built, but not because he is athletic, just simply because his race is typically bigger than others. Your individual you have come to meet, Gregor, he stands up to see you, and as he crosses over through the room, he moves up to you specifically, Isra, and he says, it's good to see you again. I appreciate you coming such a long distance to make sure that my summons has been answered. I trust you fare well.
Oh, yes, we are all fine, Gregor. It's so nice to see you.
Oh, yes, it is good to see you as well. He looks about and, Kalim, you have not exactly looked so, well, you've always looked that way, I suppose, but I do not believe I know this one, he says, and he points towards Flora.
Oh, she's our newest friend. You have to meet her.
Hello.
Hello, I am Gregor Patrons, and I am honored to meet you, and yes, I see your trusty knight comes in your stead as well. Hello, brave knight, and he will wave his hand in your direction, Cade.
Gregor. I'm looking for a cup to raise and just take one from the bar. Like, Gregor.
Yes, there's time for toasting later. Please, come join me at my table. I have just enough room for the four of you. Excuse me. I'm a bit flustered at this moment, but I trust you did not run into any problems outside. You didn't have anyone assail your carriage.
We're quite all right.
Not this time.
Just come sit.
Yes, okay. And he crosses back over to that table that you guys saw him sitting at, and as he does, you see that he does one of these, and there is somebody nearby the bar who crosses over the room with a tray, sets it down, and places 5 fresh drinks in front of you all, even though his apparently has not been touched. He just doesn't even notice this person. It's a barmaid who just kind of slinks back off to go do whatever it is that she has to do elsewhere in the tavern. He looks to you all. Again, I want to thank you for answering my summons. This was Well, I did not know who else to turn to be honest. Things have gotten very bad.
Kalim will slide his drink over to Cade because he doesn't drink,
Right.
and or eat or breathe or any of those things that normal people do, and he knows Cade does all of those things. So he just simply slides the drink over to Cade, and then moves just a couple of feet away, still easily within his ability to hear, and turns his back to the table to observe the rest of the tavern.
Excellent. Well, I trust that you read my summons completely. You have learned what has happened within the kingdom, within the city of Spires. You know what has happened to my daughter.
Yes, we do, and it is just the most terrible thing in the whole world.
Yes.
Tell us, what can we do to help?
Well, I would trust no one else with this matter. You see, well, it is the court there, the Hislaki, they are reaching out. They are trying to claim more than they have ever claimed before. They are after the young, they are after the infirmed, they are after even the healthy now. Trust me when I say that we are endangered there. I barely escaped with my life after they took my daughter for whatever foul purposes that they have there. There is, rumors, you see. The Countess there, she is somehow distantly related to the Queen herself, but she does things to the girls. The virginal girls, she takes them and she does things. It is part of her ritual to make her one of the undead. You must save my daughter. You must save her. You must save Natalia from this, please. I beg of you, friend. I beg of you.
That is absolutely terrible. Of course, we will help any way we can. Do you know exactly where the girls are being kept?
I do not know exactly. Well, I know that they are getting them from the town of Tarash. It is on the southern end here. It's about 4 hours travel from here. You cross over into the Blood Domain proper. It is the place one of their places where they stop on their chain to get the fences. And he looks to you, Flora, and he says, "Oh, you forgive my language, fair maiden. The fences, it's not the word that is for the faint of heart to hear. But I trust that you, fair knight, and you, Kalim, as a priest who walks the night, that you have learned about the fences and what they do to those that they call their cattle, their kine, that they use them for food, girl," he says, looking at you, Flora.
I'm more familiar with their practices than you might think.
Is that so? Well, it would seem that the dark has touched even the young at heart here in the land. Oh, well, forgive me, I am so scatterbrained. You asked me a question. Yes, they are taking them from Tarash. They are coming, it would seem, once a month they come and they take the young girls. They take them back to the city of Spires, and they're going to make sure that they are given to the Countess. When they came last month and they took my daughter, she wasn't even one of those who was offered. She was one of those who was to be spared. I had paid my part of the taxes, part of the dues, and they did not honor this. There is a noble who came, I would say young, but who knows how long the Hijlaki and their breed live. His name is Randahers Quateros, and he is a man who is most unjust and dark. He has a certain hunger in his eyes. He also seeks after the young ladies as well, but for darker purposes, I fear. Anyway, he has come. They take 4 at the time, but last time they took 5. I do not know why, but my daughter, as I said, Natalia, she was to be spared, but they pulled her from the crowd, kicking and screaming. They pulled her from me, and they took her in their dark carriage with its extra horses. It was a sight that haunts me in my very dreams. I can lead you there if you need to see, for the month is up. This night they are to take more ladies. They are to take them back to the Countess. Please, will you intervene? Will you stop them from doing so? and maybe perhaps even find where they took my girl, where they took my Natalia.
Kalim just cocks his head to the side towards them so that Gregor can only see about half of his face, and in fairly clear but also monotone voice simply says, "We will find her."
Yes, I know that you will. Thank you, fair man. Thank you all so very much for this. And you see that there are tears that brim his eyes and begin to streak down his cheek. He doesn't even bother to wipe them away. These are father's tears, and so they are heartfelt in this moment. And he looks to you all. As I said, I can lead you there. It is not safe to go the road alone, but I will trust in whatever your judgment is. Please, if there are any information I can give you, any sort of questions that I could perhaps answer about what is to happen, what is to come, I will be happy to do so. A brave knight, I see you have already finished your first drink. Here, you may have mine. I don't have the appetite for it, and he slides his drink over to you as well. As Cade, you sit down the first of the now 3 drinks in front of you. You sit down the empty stein in place where it was, receiving his.
Thank you, my friend. We will find the thallium. Can you advise me of what the Countess does with these women, exactly?
Well, there are dark rumors. Some say that she takes them and she bathes in their blood. Others say that she uses them for some dark necromancy ritual. And yet others say that she turns them into their undead spawn, vampires who will creep through the night and take from the others. I dare not think about any such things, but all I know is that when the ladies are taken, these young women, they are never seen again.
Cade will put his hand on Gregor's shoulder and just, in a reassuring way, it's like, for you and Natalia, for all that you have done for us in the past, we owe this to you.
Thank you. Yes, it was no small feat getting you out of that prison at one time in the past, but I know that you were there for crimes you did not commit, so I was happy to help you all. And I know, Isra, we go back even further than that, since your travels when you first left the hidden lands below. And I do not wish to have that be a payment that you must make to me. I do not wish to make it that you owe me anything, of course. I did that out of generosity, out of love for you and for your companions. You are a good girl, and your family were good as well. It is sad what happened to the tailor and his wife, and I was sorry to hear of that.
Well, we do not. You don't owe me, and I don't owe you, and this is just what friends do for each other.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Certainly you have questions, priest. I know your powers over the dark are renowned to me and even to some of the others here in the tavern. I can see that something is turning behind your moonlit eyes. What is it that you wish to know? Perhaps you might know rituals how to kill these beasts?
The rituals that I know will bring darkness to anyone that deserves it. I am curious what it is that this individual that takes these young maidens, what it is that brings him here. What it is that causes him to be the one and not someone else. What are the motivations for him specifically? Is he commanded? Does he do this for his own purpose? Tell me.
I don't entirely know, other than he claims that he is also distantly related to the Blood Queen, that he somehow has tithing that he gives there. I also know that he at one time was seen, well, making eyes at the women. That is how we first came across knowing about his lust for them. I hope he does not do untoward things. The dark is cold even for those who no longer walk in the path of the mortal coil. But I do not know exactly what his calling is and why specifically it is him who is sent. None dare oppose him. The first time that he came, there was one who tried to stop the culling, and it did not go well. We will find his remains as we enter into the town of Tarash itself. They are adorned at the outer walls. A reminder of not to go against the Hijraki and what they want, to not go against the courts. And what of you, young lady with the painted face? You said you know about these creatures yourself?
I know some. I grew up in the blood domain, among them.
How did you escape? How are you not there still?
My mother smuggled me out when I was younger.
Well, then this was a deed done of great love and of great risk. Was she discovered by chance?
She was.
Oh, child, I am so sorry to hear that. Please accept my condolences for the loss of your mother. It is, dark times indeed. But, I do say the hour is getting late. What else do we wish to know before we make our travels?
Gregor, couple of questions. Have there been any commonalities on any of the women that have been chosen? Like, what's the plan? Is the plan just to walk up there and say, let's get Natalia back? Like, ooh.
I do not know. I am not an adventurer. I am not one who has faced these dark creatures of the night before. I know about the time that you hunted down other creatures of the night. You and your shining horse came out like a beacon of hope in the dark night, and you slew them all. I have heard this tale. I have seen the aftermath. I know what it is that the four of you, well, I would assume you as well, young lady, because I did not meet you to this night, but I assume that there is a great truth to what it is you are capable of. I dare not tell you how to go about your business of rescue. I just simply ask that you do such.
How frequent do the ladies get chosen? Like, is it every other day? Is it every week?
It is once a month. When the moon is at its zenith in its cycle, they will come. They will take 4 women. Like I said, last month they took 5, 4 plus my daughter. And when they come, all 4 of the women are young. They are unwed. They are girls who, some of them do not even have families. Some of them are families. Well, the main innkeeper of the town, he is a very important man, you understand. Even his daughter was taken before. It does not know social barriers or race or creed. It is simply a hunger that those must be sated.
I see.
Helen
Well,
will look at Flora and say, "You know Tarash that we must go to? You know where it is?"
I have some idea. Yes.
Gregor, it is best that you not come with us.
Well, I am strong of body and
It
strong
has
of heart.
nothing to do with your strength, sir. It has to do with the darkness that we must face. You have suffered enough for now. Let us take care of this for you. Let us deal with this darkness. It should not taint your heart any more than it has. You may not be prepared to do the things that we must do. And your daughter, if she is alive, we will find her. We will bring her to you. And you must cling to that as a light before you let the rest of this dark world consume you. Please, stay.
Lim, if you could please make a persuasion roll with advantage.
Surely. Not my best. I got an 18 on it, but I'm also going to go ahead and use my knowledge from a past life,
Interesting. Okay.
which allows me to add an additional d6 to this.
Excellent.
So that is a total of 21.
Okay. He looks to you, and you could tell that his words are really striking into him, almost like a hammer striking into an anvil. Or somehow you can see that his heart, although it's broken at this moment, there seems to be something, your words, that seem to sew up the rend within. It seems to be that he takes your words to heart, and you can see that he just eventually nods. Yes, what you speak is true. I'm a bit overzealous to save my daughter, but please, and he reaches across the table and he takes your hand in his, Isra. Please, I will do anything. She is my daughter. She is the last that I have since her mother's death, and since my son was taken and killed in a distant fight. Please. Please.
Isra will take her hand off of his and cup his face and just say, "My dear friend, please do not worry. We will take care of her. We will find her and we will bring her back. And anybody that stands in our way, we will kill. Do not worry."
Okay. Yes, okay. Thank you, friends. I do not have much to pay you, but I would give you this. And he reaches down onto his belt. He starts untying a belt pouch. And when he gets finished tying it and he pulls it away, he puts it up on the table. And when it sets down, it's very quiet. You could tell it's not even remotely full. But you could tell that there is sound, there is something within it. And he will set it down in front of you, Cade, actually.
You mistake yourself. I am not a mercenary. And I push the pouch back to him.
Certainly you all must need something for your troubles.
I look at the rest of the group. They know my answer.
We don't need anything. Just go home.
Okay. I will await you there. I'm still in the same place as before. You know it is by the old shop that I used to have there. I closed it down some years ago. Times were tough, but I still have the property, and I will meet you there when the time is right. Thank you all. Thank you. And he gets up, and as he starts to cross away from the table, you all notice for the first time the very pronounced limp that he has as he walks across the room. It seems to be that there is a weight that is somewhat lifted off of him, yet another one remains. And as he crosses through the room and gets to the front door, he stops once, and he looks back to the four of you sitting there at the table, and he just gives a thankful nod. Takes a deep breath to steady himself, and then he crosses out into the night, letting a small bit of the fog roll in through the door as he does so, leaving the four of you alone in the tavern.
As he got up to leave, did I notice anyone else in the tavern observing him in particular in any way that I might find to be suspicious?
Mm-hmm. Your passive perception, I believe, is a 22?
Or 24.
24. Okay, thank you.
My passive insight is a 19 and my investigation a 23. So
Oh, okay then.
That
He's
is
very
nasty,
aware.
man.
Yes.
of
God.
the things that go on around him.
Then, indeed, when he crossed through the room, it was, again, very imperceptible. Somebody who it would be, dare I say, normal would not notice this even remotely. But there is a man who is sitting by the front door wearing nondescript clothing who happened to bring his stein up to his lips to take a drink in a way that was slightly not normal, enough for you to catch it. and I would say perhaps only you in the room, to catch that this man was in fact watching Gregor, and he notices the man leave and just very slightly looks back to the four of you before very pointedly moving his gaze away. And he's not talking with anybody at the table he's sitting with, although the table is full.
Wish to cast Detect Thoughts. And try to read his thoughts. I'm not going deep yet. Okay. For now, it's just surface thoughts.
Absolutely. His surface thoughts are a wave of a mixture between confusion as his eyes cross across the four of you, and of importance as his eyes crossed by Gregor. You can tell this is a man who probably has a duty of some sort, and now he's curious what sort of new development has happened in the task that he had at hand. So.
Okay. I will just stand there and stare at him openly and blatantly whilst maintaining my detect thoughts.
Okay. You stand there. You're not trying to hide yourself, I assume. You're openly trying to be like, stare this guy down. Yeah, absolutely. You see there is a moment where he is making a very good show at not noticing you guys, and then you see it again. It's almost imperceptible, but because you're actively watching, you pick up on him. He has a moment where he glances back up, sees you're looking, kind of does a moment where he looks off to the side, looks back, sees you again. He stands up and he slides the drink away.
Any thoughts that I'm doing getting out of the tech thoughts?
Yeah, suddenly there is a little bit of a panic that goes through his mind. This would be pretty familiar to somebody who was discovered when they shouldn't be. A little kid with their hand in a cookie jar, perhaps. And as he starts to make his way out of the door,
as soon as he stands up to leave, I will go deep on his detect thoughts.
Okay.
So he has to do a saving throw. Wisdom save DC 17.
Okay. 12 on the die. Okay, he's not going to make it. He's got a 13 total. So you get his thoughts are pretty distinct in his mind, almost like someone is talking to you, because you kind of pick up on it so deeply. You can tell that he says, "Who are these people? What are they doing here? Oh, I better follow that fool, make sure he doesn't do anything else." And he crosses out of the door.
Did he pause at all? Because when you go deep, they know, even if they succeed at the save, they know that someone is probing their mind. Was there any reaction after he thought that and realizing someone is detecting his thoughts?
Right. Yes, as he gets to the door, right as his hand touches the door, you see him stop and flinch. And then he looks back, he looks directly at you. And then when he sees that you're still staring, he throws himself through the door in a sprint.
Just as he's doing that, I will telepathically tell him, "Leave Gregor alone, or I will find you. No darkness can you hide."
Okay. You hear the sounds of something clambering and slamming against certain sections of the little small porch outside. Maybe the man lost his footing slightly as he makes his way onto the road. And the other three of you look up to see that Kalim turns back to the three of you. He has a look on his face that maybe has a little bit of an emotion.
Completely devoid of all emotion.
Exactly.
So, I'm reveling in it, but Kalim is not.
Right. Absolutely.
Kalim does just turn back towards everyone, and he says, "There was a man that seems interested in what we are doing. I have warned him to stay away from Gregor, but we should be cautious, as it seems that there are spies everywhere here as expected. I will continue my watch."
Okay.
Israel will turn over to Flora and just say, "I get shivers sometimes when he gets all emotional like that. It's kind of crazy."
I know, it's so startling.
Like, tell them you do that. Keep watching.
So, is there anything else the rest of you would like to do for the remainder of the night, or would you like to try to begin your journey towards the town of Tarash it is entirely up to you what you guys want to do to prepare and to get ready for such a journey.
You said it was 4 hours approximately away.
Yeah.
And did we arrive? We arrived here in quote unquote the evening, right? I understand that it's always nighttime, but the equivalent of a evening where my companions would perhaps need to rest. Yes.
They could. I would say at this time it basically would be like to keep it in our real world terms, it's like mid-afternoon. So if you were to ride on, you would probably get to the town of Tarash because you have a carriage. You might even be a little bit quicker than the 4 hours that was recommended. So you might get there a little bit before night begins to, the evening, twilight, whatever word we want to use, begins to set in.
And out of curiosity, does our carriage have a driver?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a hired carriage. Yeah, it came with a driver. Yeah, it's got a man outside. He's just a nondescript human who is wearing livery.
Just wanted to confirm. I thought that was the case, but I wanted to be sure.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
So, looking after the shiver comment and all of that, Kalim will look at Isra. When should we leave?
Well, I think probably the sooner the better. I don't have anything to do here. And Gregor looked so sad.
He did. Is there anything anybody else would like to do, or are you guys all in agreement that you all want to leave now?
Cade's gonna grab some food because we just got here, and I love trying different foods, and I'm hungry, and I'm gonna get some food real quick. Like if we're gonna go off venturing again, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm sick of eating these good berries. I at least want to have some food.
Absolutely.
So as everyone's deliberating, where do we go, whether we stay, we'll discuss it over the meal. At least I will. I'll bring some extra plates if anybody else wants any. But we just been in town 30 minutes, and I like to have a little grub before we go off to the adventure. So
absolutely.
I will just
I mean, if Cade is eating, then I will be eating too.
Of course. Might as well.
Family style, party style. So we'll just pass it along, and then we'll get ready for our journey.
As the food comes, Kalim will actually prepare a plate, and then he will take it out to the driver. And offer the driver a plate and perhaps a pint or half pint or whatever seems appropriate. He doesn't want the fellow to get drunk per se, but not exactly, probably not the best of ale for the man, but enough to at least warm his belly. And because the man, and I am going to name him David, because I'm assuming no one else named him, because David has been traveling with Kalim for at least hours or days at this point, he will understand that there isn't, like, Kalim doesn't usually speak. And so as he hands him the food, and before he can even say thank you or anything like that, he is going to tell him, "Be watchful, there are people interested in us, and I would like for you to please alert if you see anyone paying too much attention to the carriage."
Are you talking about that man who came stumbling out of the front of that tavern?
I am certain that there will be more than just him, but yes, if you do see him again, please let me know.
Okay. I understand, yes. Master Kalim, I understand. Thank you very much for the food.
But you're already walking away at this
Yeah,
point.
I'm already walking away.
His very faint voice is lost in the night.
And just before going inside, I'm going to do a stop and turn and look around, holding on to the hilt of my sword, just that extra few moments as I look around to see if I notice anything in particular.
You stand at the front door, you stand on that little porch that you could tell there are scuff marks on the ground. Definitely the man stumbled and fell, through the door out here. As you stand there and you watch for just a moment, listen for just a moment, there is the very distant, very hurried clattering of hooves making their way out away from the town. You notice somewhere ahead of you.
I will move inside and quickly just walk to our table. I'm assuming that no one else in the tavern even attempts to look up at me at this point. And I will move to sit, and I will say, Gregor's would-be observer has fled the town, likely to notify someone or something, very likely related to us, I assume.
Well, then, I think Cade needs to eat quickly. Maybe, take this for the road and then we can go.
I don't think such things are important. Him taking a meal is very likely good, and it might give an interesting opportunity for the darkness to fester in this man's heart as he flees us, and perhaps give some time for whatever news he tells to whomever he tells it to contemplate what darkness is coming for them.
Well, Kalim, as always, if you are not worried, then I am not worried.
When the blade comes out, you will know I am worried.
So, Cade, you are digging into this mutton that they brought you, shaved very thinly. It's very delicious. It would go great on a sandwich, perhaps with some lettuce and tomatoes. Who knows? But at this moment, you're halfway through the meal when they told you should hurry up a little bit. But you keep on eating, and there is the appropriate time that you all take to rest. If we were worried about such things, you would basically have the effects of a short rest, and you eat, you steady yourselves, you get a nice recuperation, maybe a drink or two just to steady yourselves, and you do make your way back out into the carriage. As you do, you can see that David, up on his perch in the front of the carriage, nods to you all, tipping his small little cap, and as he does, he takes the plate that the food was brought out on, and he hands it down to one of you, who will say returns it inside. He looks to you.
I think
and
that's
he
a
says,
job for the yam. Just saying.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Pan, take this inside.
And it runs up, it grabs a hold of it, and it runs in through the front of the doorway there, and there is a what the motions of people. What is that? What's going on? What is that thing? Things of this nature you can hear coming out through the open door. And as this is all happening, David looks down at you, Kalim. I didn't notice anybody else come out, Master Kalim. It would seem that you guys are safe. I don't think there's anybody else who's observing you or keeping an eye on what's going on. But I did notice that the food, dare I say it, it was very good. So I appreciate you giving some to me. So thank you very much for that. I trust Mr. Cade. You got all of your drinks and all of your provisions that you need for the rest of the journey.
Indeed, Master David. I had an apple to my horse that I stole from my own plate, and be like, "Are you ready for the journey ahead? I'm sorry we don't have much of a rest for you."
Luna just kind of does one of those flexes that a horse does, where they just kind of, shake it off. She leans forward. She puts her head and rubs up against the side of your cheek for a moment. She's not perturbed at all, and David just looks on. Oh, what I wouldn't be able to do with a whole stable full of horses like that. My carriage business would really start to boom. But I dream bigger than myself, I suppose. Are you all ready to go then? I assume you're all ready, since you're not even giving your prized steed a rest.
We have business that cannot wait. So
Yes.
onward we go.
Of course. You paid me handsomely to take you into the blood domain, and I will. I have 2 children, one of which wishes to go off to university at the faraway land, and what you have given me will be a help towards that, so thank you very much. You can count on me. He tips his hat again. I will not let you down, no matter what. So, yes, shall we disembark then? It's getting rather foggy, so we should be careful on the road ahead.
Kalim will
Indeed,
look to...
Let us travel. And I'm sure that Kalima would love to hear more tales of your children as we travel.
Oh, well, my son, he's the one who wants to go to university.
I will not be sitting in the carriage. Kalim will look at Isra and say, I am going to summon Nocturne and ride outside if that is all right with you.
You never have to ask me. Nocturne is very sweet.
And Kalim will just step a few steps back, and you see him reach up and grab onto this pure piece of onyx hanging from his neck that is polished smooth, and he just holds onto it and utters a light prayer, and materializing out of the shadows that waft off of his armor, forming in front of him, basically the same size of steed as Cade's lovely white horse, except this one is pure black of skin with of hide rather, with fur, a mane of almost moonlight colored white, and piercing white eyes as well. It has form, but at the same time, it almost looks formless. There's the way the shadows kind of waft off of it in the same way that his armor does. And he simply places a hand upon the neck of the horse and utters a few words in Elven, which are thank you, and then steps up onto the back of the horse.
As he mounts back onto the back of his phantom steed, and it fully materializes and it carries his weight. And in this moment, Isra, there is something that you hear, a certain sound that blows across on the wind. It almost sounds like a distant voice, a spirit that sometimes you and you alone hear in the group. And there seems to be certain words that you make out, just very almost inaudible to even you. The path ahead is fraught with danger.
I hear voices all the time. This does not worry me.
Okay. You all climb up into the carriage or onto your respective steeds, and you begin to ride out towards the Blood Domain. And as you venture out, you make your way into the eternal night. You leave the safety and the sanctity of this point of Far Point, making your way closer and closer towards the Blood Domain. And as you ride along, the moon continues its passage across the sky. The last bits of Laun's magic that were gifted to it when he was ripped from his heavenly perch. Laun, the former god of the sun, god of light, god of purity, when he was stricken down and cursed this land with eternal night by his absence, gifted some of his power to the moon, and it is with that power that you all are able to somewhat see what's going on as you travel through the night. The fog doesn't even obscure the ground in sections as you travel along. And as you begin to get closer towards an area that you recognize, Flora, there is a distant sound, something that rings out true to you, a lullaby that floats on the fog. It almost sounds distantly like a woman's voice singing you to sleep at night. And before you all realize what's happening, Isra, who is now at this point the only one else sitting in the carriage, you will see sitting across from Flora that suddenly the bells on her bandolier start to slightly shake, almost like they're playing a song to an unknown melody nearby. But Flora, you hear the song complete. It is a melody from your homeland, a distant memory that you have of your mother. And Deb, tell us a little bit, what sort of thoughts are going through Flora's mind right now as she's returning to the Blood Domain, returning to her home, which she's been away from for some time?
Flora starts to hum along with this melody that she can hear, just quietly and gently. It gives her a sense of calm that she wasn't feeling. She's anxious about heading back into the Blood Domain. She is thinking about the family members that she left behind when she was smuggled out, and wondering if she will see them again. But she's nervous about heading back into this place that held so much danger for her.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. And I think those thoughts do come to the forefront, and you do feel, or maybe even you don't actually, maybe it doesn't happen as innocently as we might think. Maybe there is a purpose to it. You do find yourself playing with certain bells, shaking them, as you hum along. The song starts to take form and starts to have a little bit of a movement throughout the inside of the carriage. And Isra, you see as your friend sits there humming along, her feet kind of sway in movement as well, almost like in her mind she's off someplace else, dancing with the music. There is a comfort to this that is not entirely found by you, I'll be honest. It's a little bit disconcerting. Even though she's young and even though she's your friend, there's something dangerous about that dance as she has it in her mind.
I think normally something a little dangerous is kind of par for the course, but a little exciting for Isra. But there is something that is just off enough about this that she buries, but it's there.
Absolutely. And you all continue to make your way into the blood domain. After several hours of riding, you will see that there is the border that is between Farpoint and Tarash, where you are traveling. The border actually being a large physical wall that is structured around the entire perimeter of the blood domain. And at this point, you see that its red bricks almost have a blood-like quality. It almost seems to be some sort of viscous liquid pouring out and dripping slowly down the sides of it out of the mortar, almost as if this wall itself is built from the blood of the slaves within this domain. There is a large iron gate that is dark black, not even remotely rusted metal, and as you approach this giant iron gateway that looks like it is impervious to all harm, seems to sense the presence of your carriage, and it slowly opens wide enough for it to enter within. And David doesn't even break stride. He simply looks on, grits his teeth, slaps the reins, and you head further into the blood domain. And after a few paces beyond, those large iron doors slowly turn, shut themselves, and you would notice, with your extremely high perceptive skills, Kalim, that the doors actually seal themselves as well. The four of you turn and are ready to make your way the rest of the way to Tarash and towards the first steps that you will take in the blood domain. Some of you for the first time, some of you returning, and perhaps one of you for the last time. Let's go ahead and take a break, shall we? Let's go ahead and step back out of the tale for right now. Let's take 5 minutes. Let's all get a little bit of a stand up, a walk around, and get a refresh to our drinks, do the bio break. Audience, please come back and join us after. We are just beginning this tale, and I'm having a blast. I don't know about everybody else, but I love it. These are some great players, so please come back and join us. We're back in about 5. Thank you so very much, everybody. And we are back. Thank you all so very much for coming back to join us after this little bit of a break. We are still venturing into the Eternal Night here in Notte Eterna with 4 great adventurers and heroes who are just beginning their journey on this arc known as Blood Domain. Aptly titled, I think, since that's where they're headed now. So, as we will recap just briefly in case you are just joining us, our 4 heroes are a group of adventurers that are, they know each other. They've done this thing before. They are level 9. And with this being said, they have had some previous adventures, some of which have had connection with Gregor, who is a man who just recently asked them to help secure and find out what happened to his daughter. It would seem that in the town where they are from, Tarash, which is in the Blood Domain, that they are monthly coming and taking 4 young women every month to be taken away for some nefarious purposes. For you see, the Blood Domain is actually ruled over by vampires. And so our heroes, out of the goodness of their hearts and because they want XP, are going to go into the Blood Domain to make sure that said girls can be found and hopefully secure Gregor's daughter. When we come back in immediately onto the session right now, there is one of our 4 players who is playing a character who has been to the Blood Domain before. Again, thoughts for you, Flora, drift back to a snippet of memory from your youth. You were relatively young when you were smuggled out of the Blood Domain, when your mother chose to risk her life and her safety to get you away to freedom. If you could, in this moment, as you are approaching what you see to be the outskirts of a town coming into view as you look out the window of the carriage, what specific memory comes to the forefront of your mind in this moment? Would you mind sharing with us, please?
Sure. Flora is thinking about her time as a young child in this place when she's about 5 or 6, and kind of knowing intrinsically that this is a dangerous place and being kept out of the way. Her mother was a sort of minor servant, and she knew from a really early age that this was an unnatural childhood, but she made the best of it that she could. And so she is clinging to some of the happier memories that she has from this place as a child, and sort of pushing away the darkness of what the experience of escape was like for her, and trying to remember a time that she had with her mother when she was young.
Absolutely. There are memories of your mother's face. You are a Willoi, and the Willoi are a race that are known to be in opposition to the Karevi, simply in the fact that the Karevi are pulled from the darkness. They have a darkness that kind of cloys around them. The Willoi are actually from a distant land that is bathed in eternal light. And because of this, you have a little bit of that light within you. Now, you may hide and mask it underneath your makeup and your different abilities that you've garnered over the years, listening to the Dance Macabre, a distant song that only certain people in the world are destined to hear. And because of this, you have put away some of that, but memories of your mother do come back to you. In this distant memory, there is that lullaby that you were hearing as you traveled along. It fills your mind once more, and your mind carries you back to a moment sitting in your mother's lap as she holds and rocks you, getting you to go to sleep at night, her blondish, silvery hair cascading down and tickling your nose at times. It is a warm memory, as you said. But the night outside that is eternal is not exactly warm, and as the 4 of you approach, the 2 of you who are riding outside, Kalim on his phantom steed, and on the other side of the carriage, 2 knights flanking their people. I'm losing the word. Doesn't matter. As you ride along on the other side, Cade on your white horse, Luna, you travel along. You also see this village that is approaching. It is a town that is relatively large. You can see that in the distance behind it, some ways away, still visible from this distance, is a city that is made up of a vast array of spires that stab up out of the ground almost like a thorny trident or a menagerie of weapons that are threatening even from this distance. The town of Tarash, as you approach, you can see is lit by phantom lights in almost every window here. It would seem that the people here are trying to keep the dark at bay, maybe for more than just supernatural purposes, but also for reasons that will keep them safe. You can see that on the doors as you approach this city, there are no red flags that were seen in the previous town of Farpoint. It would seem that here There's not a reason to try to keep the vampires out, because the vampires own this land. This is their domain, the domain forged of blood of their slaves. And because they have such a hold here, it is with very many eyes that notice all of you approaching. It would seem the townsfolk that are here in the last throes of the things that happen before the dusk, as we would know it, settles in. You can see that there are people who are making their way away from where your carriage is approaching on a southern road that leads into the town, and making their way in towards a centered section of the city. As you all approach, the two of you noticed first that there is actually a long stage that is set up in the center of the town square. There is a crowd that is starting to form around it, and you can see that parked off to the side is a very opulent looking carriage. It is decked out in blacks, reds, and velvets, purples, a golden kind of color that marks all the different accoutrement here. It is pulled by not the 2 horses it would need for its size, but rather 7. You're not sure exactly why it would have so many horses, but here it is. Deb, playing Flora, I will allow you to please make a history check with advantage, because you are from the blood domain. You might know why there's 7 horses.
$22.
Okay. You recall that the members of the vampire court that rule over the blood domain, they are, one of the ways that they distinguish their ranking and their ruling here is by a show of how large and opulent their carriage force is. So the fact that this carriage has 7 horses lets you know that it definitely is someone of rank, someone of importance that is driving this carriage.
There's someone important out there in the square.
Is this someone that you know?
I'm not sure, but based on the number of horses they have, they're fairly high ranking.
Are you worried about this?
Not specifically, but I think we should pay attention. I don't know what's happening, but something is.
Okay, this is good to know.
Cade will be riding his horse a little bit further ahead of the carriage, hood up as he's entering the town. Cade carries a shield, and this is something that everyone in the party would know. He carries a shield on his back that has the engraving of a goddess, some sort of beautiful woman, and he keeps it on his back to help the party because it changes facial expressions, different emotions. So right now it's still kind of very as a pleasant looking lady who's looking back at you. In times in the past where we've been in danger, you would see its expression change of either warning or anger or danger. But right now, as you are behind him, the shield is still having a either neutral or kind of pleasant looking demeanor as he's riding up ahead.
Very interesting.
Flora's gonna also message both Cade and Kalim to let them know about the carriage with the horses.
Okay. What exactly do you say?
Probably something about what she said to Isra as well.
Okay.
Kalim will respond. Did Gregor also say that the man that we hunt had such a carriage with as many horses?
I don't remember. Did he say that?
It seems to line up. He didn't mention the number of horses, but he definitely mentioned that it was somebody of importance. This young vampire, so to speak, who comes and takes the young women away.
Great. He did say that the man did have a carriage with several horses. It's possible this is the man.
Very well.
I want to see what the object of their attention is. What is on the stage?
Okay. You are a little bit further ahead, so you do see, and I will say that Kalim, because of how perceptive you are, you can see some of this through the crowd too. Your vantage point of where you are lets you see around it slightly. But Cade, you are on the side where you can directly see that in the center of the town, there is an erected stage. You can see that something like this would typically be used at a fair or some sort of show. This would be where people would be put up to be shown off, maybe people to be announced, maybe a winner's circle, as it were, where people would be. But what you notice about this specific stage is there are no people that are here celebrating. There's no one here that is having roses thrown at their feet. Instead, you see 4 young women who are standing there, all looking terrified as they look out over the crowd. The crowd is a bunch of despondent individuals, silent as they all watch on in horror and acceptance from this ritual that's happening here. You can see that there is, next to that carriage parked off to the side, that there are 3 individuals, 2 men who are leaning. One is leaning up against the side of the carriage. The other, he's a bigger, strapping built guy, long dark hair. The other one is a more slighter built man who has a very thinly cropped beard, and he is actually kind of nuzzled up into the other man's armpit. There's definitely an affection between the two of them as they sit here. There is a woman on the other side, and she is nearest the stage, and much to your surprise, it seems like she is the one who's kind of directing this and forcing the young women along. She has a very wicked looking cat o' nine tails in her hand that she's snapping in the air, not at the young, well, at the young lady, but not actually hitting them. And you see that there is a 4th individual who is actually sitting in, do your eyes deceive you, a very opulent throne that has been set down in the center of the town square. His feet are up on the back of an older gentleman who is on his hands and knees on the ground. This older gentleman on the back does look like he has lash marks on his back, like somebody recently struck him. And it's not very hard for you to put a 2 and 2 together to know that it was the cat o' nine tails that did such a thing. This man who sits in the chair is drinking from a clear glass goblet, and there's definitely a red liquid within that you doubt is wine. The young man who is sitting there with his feet up says, "Oh yes, please, can we hurry this along? I'm getting a bit parched, I should say." And he looks out over the crowd. "Does anyone else have anything else that I would like to be seeing tonight? I would like to hope that you all came with the proper amount of reverence for me, as I have come to you on my monthly absolutions to make sure that your pathetic little village is okay. Anyone? Just 4. A pity. I was hoping from the last time you all learned your lesson and knew that you were to bring me more each time." And he takes a sip of the goblet. Oh, cat has got everyone's tongue, I see. Oh,
Where, about how far away are we at this point?
Absolutely. I would say, due to the distance that you are, because of how it was described, Cade, you are the closest. You are about 40 feet away at this point.
Okay.
You all have, even though you're in a carriage, even though you are on horseback, you are all approaching. No one seems to have noticed you. And as you are not marking the distance, you being about 55 feet away, Kalim, the carriage being about 60 feet away, there is a sound from the man in the chair. "Oh, unexpected guests," he says as he straightens himself up, seemingly the only one who heard your approach. And then he stops and he seems to sniff the air. One of them will not cleanse my palate." And he slowly stands up, and as he does, he turns to regard the carriage and the 2 of you on horseback. His eyes meet yours, Cade. "Oh, well, this is a handsome, strapping man. Who might you be, friend?"
I make sure that my hood is like down. And as he's speaking to me, do I have any kind of eyes on Natalia at all? Has she arrived, or is it just the 4?
It is just the 4. Yeah, you're not sure. You do know from the story that Gregor told you. I'll recap this briefly because I know you were having some issues with your computer in the first half. Natalia was taken last month and has not been seen since then. So these are actually 4 new young ladies who are being collected tonight. Yeah. So this
gotcha. So those aren't the 4 that she was the 5th. This is another.
This is another grouping.
Next round.
Unfortunately.
Okay,
yeah.
As the posh gentleman mentions towards me, I will take my horse, and Cade will slowly trot over and will do a nod of the head, and trying to be as polite and etiquette as possible without actually saying anything, just kind of a type thing.
As he does that, Kalim is also going to telepathically reach out to Istra and say, "There is danger. Be prepared."
And the shield's expression will change. It's getting angry.
Oh. This very opulent-looking man, this noble with the goblet, he swirls it for a bit. He looks away from you. He just kind of runs his finger down inside, runs it around the rim of the glass. No proper announcement of yourself? Do you not know that you are in the presence of Veneris Quanderos? That you should perhaps speak plainly your name? And do tell me of the one within your carriage. I can smell her age from here. She is almost ripe for the taking.
At that point, I will lower the my hood and put my hand to my chest out, be like, "Good evening. I'm Sir Caden Elios. These are my companions. We are travelers to this realm."
When you say your name, the woman with the cat o' nine tails very visibly flinches back. She hisses almost like a cat at the sound of your name. "I know this one," she says. "He has killed our kind before."
I ignore and just stay stoic. Just kind of not hands on my weapons, just kind of standing there as a guest, just kind of really kind of looking up and feeling. I'm trying to read the room, so to speak.
The townsfolk all standing around are the mixture of the sadness and the despondency has got a little bit of a glimmer of confusion. They're all looking around like what's going on. And when the woman who says that you killed some of their kind before says that, you notice more than one face in the crowd suddenly has a very faint light of hope flash across their eyes. They wonder if someone's coming to help them, wondering if someone's coming to save them. And Rhaenyra looks back to her. "Is that true? Well, you are definitely not welcome here, then, it would seem, Sir Caden Elios. And who is this?" He just waves dismissively towards Kalim. "I can barely see him in the night. There's no blood that flows through him. Were he not upon that steed, why, he would fade right into the dark itself."
I am the darkness that comes to claim your sin.
Ooh. Well, I am terrified. I don't know about anyone else, but that shook me to my very core. Were you approached? Will the women make them? Yeah, blank face. Yes. Will the women make themselves known? I was hoping for a 5th, and perhaps I can even claim a 6th this evening.
You will claim none.
Cade will look at the woman holding the whip with a look as if, well, not even a look as if, I'll just say it out loud, and be like, "Lady, if I wanted to kill you, you'd be dead already." And like hand really close to sword, but like not like, "Hey, we're not here to fight." But like just to kind of show that this intimidation isn't working. Whatever it is that they're trying to do is not working.
And the 2 men who are leaning up against the carriage, they slowly step forward. The bigger one does a movement that could be kind of akin to a human person snapping their neck and getting ready for something. And Kanderos just simply puts a hand up. "Well, I would like to do things peacefully. I can tell from your dress and from your rude disposition that you are not from here, so you do not understand properly what it is to be within the blood domain. I will grant you this one small reprieve. You can turn and leave your women with me, and therefore it will be forgiven. Otherwise, you all will fill the gullet of my friends tonight.
In the carriage, Isra looks over to Flora. Okay, yeah, it seems.
Yeah,
as
you guys
though-
are overhearing this whole thing, yes.
Yeah. We will be called upon to fight now. Are you okay with this? You could stay.
Well, I'm a little afraid, but I think we need to help, and so I am okay with this. And
Look at you, you're so brave.
Flora is gonna cast Mage Armor on herself.
Okay.
Okay.
The bells ring out in a certain syncopation, and you see that there is a shimmer that goes across Flora's form for a moment.
I know this music.
Oh, no.
Cade will turn to this gentleman and be like, "Become for one known as Natalia.
Oh.
Give her to us, and we will let you be."
You have come for my aunt's favorite plaything. Well, I surely cannot give her up. She is not mine to hand back. But no worry. You will see her in the afterlife soon enough, and he, with a speed that is unknown to anyone who would potentially be alive, his hand goes to the very fanciful, ornate handle of the rapier at his side. He draws it and closes the distance between where he was and where you are still on the back of Luna, and he is going to swipe at you. I will say you guys are not surprised, so we're not going to go ahead and have a surprise round. We'll roll initiative. And I will bring up our battle map tonight.
Let's go.
Let's go, let's go. Alrighty, so in the battle map, you will see there are quite a bit of townsfolk nearby, so they will soon disperse. So I will do this, in case it's a little bit hard to tell who is who. This will help the folks at home as well. I will go ahead and put little tiny markers on these people. Where is bear with me one moment here, because this is the new Owlbear Rodeo. Where's they have colors, right? Where do they go?
Yeah. You just click on the individual marker or token, and you can assign whatever colors you like.
What is that under? I don't see that.
You're trying to color the specific
Just
token?
put like a ring around it. Like you have the rings they used to have?
Yeah, so if you click on the person, and then... Oh, where is it? Maybe I'm saying the wrong thing. No.
But it's okay. We'll make it work here.
Yeah.
It's all good. Yeah, it looks like it's different than the thing we used to. Because it used to be you would just click on a color, and it would just pop right up. So not a worry. It's fine. We're going to know in a second, because the townsfolk are going to run away. They don't want to be in the middle of a fight. So you all are going to be located, if we look at the map properly, you all are located here. That is just a rough estimate of what your positioning is. You can go ahead and put yourselves in what sort of other positioning you want real quickly before this begins. The individual who is Renaris is actually this guy here, who is going to move the distance over to you, Cade, like so, as I mentioned. And we will see very briefly that right here is the woman with the cat of nine tails. And these are the two men that travel with Renaris. This is a townsfolk person over here. So just so you can kind of keep it separate. This map is brought to us by the Dungeon Madams. Pretty cool stuff we found here. Not our typical neutral party that we usually use, but I want to give a shout out to them because I thought it was just too cool with these cool trees growing up in the middle of everything. So,
pretty nice.
Yeah, so let's roll some initiative. Let's get that figured out. Flora, what is your initiative?
Mine is 14.
Okay. And Kalim?
21.
Ooh. Isra?
12.
Cade?
15.
Okay. Vampies are going on that. And because you guys talked Gregor out of coming with you, I'll remove his name from that list right there. So, this is what's great about TTRPGs, gangs, is you never know where the story is going to take you. So, putting you into a quick order, Kalim, I think without any sort of surprise, you being ever vigilant are going to go ahead and react as this vampire closes the distance between you all. You see, because you are imperceivably fast as well, being one of the reborn, you will see that as he closes the distance between where he was standing next to the throne and where Cade is on the back of Luna, that his features start to change. His cheekbones become more pointed, his skin begins to stretch and elongate, pulling back away from his face slightly. His canines stretch out, ridges kind of form on the front of his forehead and up into his hairline, and there is a certain pallid color that begins to wash over his features as well. He looks a little bit more bestial in this moment as he comes to attack. But you have the initiative, so what would you like to do?
So my first question is, how high is the stage? How tall is the stage? Like, is there space underneath of it for someone to like move to get underneath of it?
Absolutely. I think the stage itself is about 6 feet tall, so a regular sized man could comfortably fit underneath it.
So would you say that there's shadows underneath of it?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. Then Kalim will move over into this alleyway and then use his shadow walk ability as a bonus action to and actually, just to confirm, where's his friends? Because I think I see them up by the stage. Is that correct?
The rest of the party, so to highlight this for everybody at home and to make this a little bit easier, Kalim is here. He is going to have a white ring, and we're going to have...
No, where's the bad guys? The bad guys.
Oh, the bad guys. Oh, well, you said friends. I thought you were being literal.
I meant his friends as in the vampire guys.
Yes. So the two men are here, and the woman with the whip is here.
Perfect. So his shadow walk ability basically puts him underneath of the stage, because I can teleport between shadows up to 120 feet. And appears immediately next to her. Steps basically just out from under it. And then I'm going to invoke Dark Fear. And all three of the vampire's allies need to make charisma saving throws, please.
Charisma saving throws?
No, I'm sorry, intelligence saving throws.
Oh.
Intelligence saving throws.
Intelligence, okay, well that's...
DC 17.
DC 17, yikes, okay. So, the woman with the whip is going to fail, the bigger gentleman is going to fail, the smaller gentleman is going to pass.
Okay, so the two that failed are frightened of me, and they must use their reaction to flee from me if possible. But because they haven't taken a turn yet, they don't have reactions to take.
Right.
So, unfortunate side effect that I don't get a free attack upon one of them, but that's okay. They are frightened of me, which means they can't move closer to me, they must flee from me, etc., etc., etc.
Okay. Good to know. I love it. Yes, and these are abilities that you are drawing forth from your special domain, the domain of darkness. So,
Indeed.
Specialty build stuff going on. So, some new rules that we're playing with tonight, which is always fun in a game. I love it. Very cool.
His sword and shield just appear in his hand as he steps out from the darkness as well.
I love that. Absolutely. Yeah, there is that shift. It's imperceptible to most people. In the lightning speed, the vampire closes the distance. Kalim steps out of the shadows beneath the stage. The people nearby, the townsfolk nearby, would just be like, it would all look like one motion to them. Cade, as the vampire crosses the distance between, and as he begins to swipe up at you, you react just in time. What do you do?
All right, it's go time. So as he approaches and uses his, celerity to come towards my horse, I of course stay mounted, and I will rile up the horse to kind of, buck up. And as I buck up, I will Cade will reach from behind him and place on his dread helm.
Oh.
And if the lady with the whip was scared of me before, she's in for something now. So as the dark helm comes down, this black winged helmet, when it comes down, it instantly turns my eyes red and shrouds my face in shadow. So as I roll up on the horse and the helm comes down, looking more like a death knight at this point, will unleash the moonlit sword from my scabbard and basically just like get ready to strike and have a really kind of striking image upon this thing that's about to attack me. Like, I know you're not going to try to strike me. So basically feeding off my horse's energy, because my horse is kind of like, what the hell? And at that point, the sword enters my hand, the shield comes into the other hand, and we're basically just kind of getting ready to strike with just looking at these red gleaming eyes right at this vampire.
Absolutely. Yes. To put it very as succinctly as possible, a monster has come to fight the other monsters tonight, it would seem,
Right.
to the townsfolk. Very cool. Yes, and that happy, friendly visage that is Cade's human face is now replaced by, yes, this death-like glare. Flora, you are still within the carriage, and there is a distant song that starts to play in your head. That lullaby that was playing as you arrived has now been cut short. It seems that there is now discordant harpsichord music that is plucking along the wind. What do you want to do?
I would like to get out of the carriage.
Okay.
And the guy that's not Renaris, I would like to cast Crown of Madness on him.
Okay.
Which is a Wisdom 17 save.
Okay. So there are the two men. There is the bigger one, and then there is the smaller one. Which one would you like? They're both within range. So the one who is the smaller one is not afraid of Kalim. I'm not sure if you would realize that in this moment or not. I'm not sure if that has any bearing for you.
I would probably try to target the bigger one.
Okay. You said it is a wisdom?
Yep.
Oh, geez. 11. So
Great.
no.
So he has to use his action before moving on each of his turns to make a melee attack against a creature other than itself that I choose.
No.
So he's gonna start attacking.
His friend,
Yes.
the little one.
Yep.
Okay.
Nice.
Good
Nice.
to know. Good to know. Yeah, you are fully out of the carriage as you step down. You kind of reach out of the carriage and cast that, and then you step down, and your feet touch onto the ground of the blood domain for the first time since you left it all those years ago. And there is again, sounds like music that's playing on the air that you can hear, and there is something very distant that almost sounds like a solemn string played on a distant violin, a very comforting sound that cuts through all this din of battle for a second. But that's good to know that happens. So with that happening like that, we're going to go ahead. It's
I
time
have a
for the vamps to
curiosity.
go.
I have a
Yes.
curiosity question.
Yeah.
What does Flora's Crown of Madness manifestation look like?
Ah, yes, I'd love to hear this too. Yeah.
So she has taken a bell out of her bandolier and she's rung it, and it doesn't make any noise for anyone except for this beefy fellow. And he starts to shake his head a little bit, like his ears are ringing, and it's like tinnitus multiplied by 100, and he's just has this ringing in his ears that won't stop, and he is furious about it.
As someone who has tinnitus, I both love and hate this.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
Well played. Well played. I love it. I love it. Very cool. Yeah, so the vampies, it is their turn. So yes, Mr. Aristocrat here, he is going to go ahead. He's going to attack you, Cade, because he did close that distance. Is there anything that your helm does? Any sort of disadvantage or anything like that it provokes on, or is it just?
No, it's
Okay.
just a dread helm.
Okay, he is going to attack. Because he came at you basically with a charge, he's not going to be able to take his full round attack to do so. But as he swings the rapier and stabs it out towards you, he is going to miss you with a 14. And you notice that as he misses you, the rapier has a flash of silver that streaks across the blade and the handle, and he pulls it back, and almost as if he is again moving faster than normal, stabs out at you again. And he's going to miss you again with a 16, because I believe your armor is an 18?
It's 17.
17, okay. Close. I was close, but I knew 16 missed. So yeah, he stabs out at you twice. The rapier does sing through the empty air. You can see that there is something unnatural about it. It has a faint glow to it as well. The other vampires, the one who is the bigger guy, as we put it, he is actually going to claw at the smaller guy next to him. And he's going to get a 19 plus. Yeah, so he claws at, he just kind of rakes that smaller guy across the face, and the smaller guy, his head snaps off to the side, and there is dark, black, semi-congealed blood that flies out of the wound from their undead state. And as this happens, the smaller guy grabs his cheek and he looks back. He gets a look of anger and fear, and he goes, "You will not strike me." And he is going to actually attack the guy back. And he's going to hit him back. So then, yeah, as he puts back, he comes forward, he takes his claws and he slices up through the bigger guy and cleaves right through his neck. If this was a living man, he would drop. But he does not, because he is in fact one of the undead. A vampire spawn would take longer than that to be killed. And the woman with the cat on nine tails
can make another wisdom save to see if that breaks it.
At the end of his turn, right?
Yes,
yeah.
I assume that his turn is done.
Yes. It's still the 17, you said was the DC?
Yes.
Okay, he fails.
Yes.
So he still has to be attacking. Okay, good to know. So the woman with the cat o' nine tails, she has to try to get away from Kalim, we said. That's at the beginning of her turn? End of her turn?
She just has to flee from me.
She just had to flee. Okay. She is going to try to flee, so she is going to try to move away. As she does so, you will get an attack of opportunity if you wish to take it.
Attack.
Yep. So before she starts to break through the crowd over here, we'll have
that is a 21 to hit.
Most certainly.
Okay. So let's see. Let me check.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'm assuming. Well, actually, I shouldn't assume. Do I need to separate psychic damage from melee damage? Because this also does psychic damage.
No. Okay. Just go ahead and just throw it out there.
Roll it all together. Ugh. So minimum on the physical damage, unfortunately. So that's a 4. And then 6 on the psychic damage. So 10 points of damage.
Okay. Perfect. Good to know. Yeah, so your sword cleaves up through her back. You can see part of her spinal column is exposed, but she does not drop. She continues to run out through the crowd. You see that she actually moves in. She starts pushing some of these crowds folk away and moves through. Takes her full movement of 30. Yep, to right there. And because she's kind of semi-staggering now as you almost cleave through her back. And then that is going to be the end of the vampire's turn. So, Isra, you're going to be final in the round. What would you like to do, madam?
Well, she will uncross her ankles and daintily hop out of the carriage. She'll leave the door open and just sort of stand beside it. And she's gonna shoot some magic at Pretty Boy, who's engaged with Cade.
Mm-hmm.
So she will sort of move her hands in a motion, and you see these tendrils of smoke, shadow, it's hard to tell, sort of twist around her arms, and it kind of comes to a point in the center of her hand, and she sort of blasts it out. And I'm going to shoot out an Eldritch Blast.
Okay.
So, woof. 15 to hit?
Yes, hits exactly. Oh, no, I'm sorry. You're
Great.
attacking Renaris, correct?
Yes.
I'm sorry, that will miss. That I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
The other guys.
I have another one. It's not a
Okay.
big deal.
I will say
Oh.
you barely missed. I will say that.
Well, this one's an 18.
Okay, that will hit.
Okay, and we're gonna make this count. So,
Yes.
standard damage.
Mhm.
Ugh, garbage. 5 points.
Okay. Garbage.
Do I have perhaps advantage because he's in combat with a friend for some sneak attack?
I think your sneak attack will apply here because he is in 5-foot base contact with Cade. You are correct.
That's gorgeous. So that is 2 more points, and then, as the first one sort of fizzles out and misses, the second one takes purchase, and you see the same sort of like smoky shadow that surrounds her arms. You can kind of see it like bleed from her eyes a bit. Just these tendrils of darkness that you would think almost look like tattoos on her face, but you see them moving ever so slightly. And with that, I'll be using one of my spirit points to add an additional D8 of shadowy darkness on him.
Okay.
So that is another 8 points
Ooh.
of damage against him.
Okay.
And then after all of that, she will casually close the carriage door and just sort of wipe off her hands.
Okay. So yes, as that second Eldritch Blast does make contact, as the shadows leap out of your hand, there is a sound of a distant voice, a voice that is not your own, that comes out of your mouth during the incantation. There is a spirit that says something else. Beth, what does this spirit say in a distant voice that is not your own?
Oh, that's a great question. I think what Isra would hear after all of that sort of releases from her body, she would hear the voice sort of tickle in the back of her mind, and it just says, very good.
Absolutely. Okay. And because all of this crazy hubbub is happening, the townsfolk begin to start screaming and running and trying to disperse out of the way. You see that there are large swaths of them that are trying to get just immediately out of Dodge as best they can. They go running off to distant various points that are in the town away from whatever this is that's happening. They are terrified, they are worried, and I'm just kind of pseudo moving them out of the way. So this one's gonna be over here. So this is one more. Yeah, so they are. There is one you notice that's over here by the stage still, who is not moving. He seems to be standing there expectantly. He sways slightly, watching all of this.
Brave. So brave.
Kalim, top of the round. It is your turn, sir. What would you like to do?
Excellent. So, given everyone has wonderfully moved away from me,
I said that, wasn't it?
which is probably smart of them, I am going to cast Guiding Bolt at Mr. Renaris.
Okay.
And I'm going to do this at 4th level.
Oh, okay. Folks at home should know I've mentioned this before. This is my absolute favorite spell in 5th edition. But go ahead. Let's see you do it.
26 to hit?
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll let it hit. I'll allow it. No.
Thanks. That's wonderful. I appreciate that so much.
I'm a giving GM. What can I say?
So, and ironically, 26 points of radiant damage as well.
Oh, snap. Well,
So as everyone kind of moves away from him, this darkness kind of exuding off of Kalim, he just holds his sword up, which by the way has an onyx black blade as well.
Okay.
And he just holds it up and points it at the back of Renaris. And Renaris hears telepathically in his mind for the briefest of moment, "Behind you." And as he glances over his shoulder, this bolt just slams him square between the shoulder blades, and it is a mix of shadow, darkness, roiled with this bright, almost, in this space in particular, blinding light as it slams into him. It's all radiant damage, that's just flavor. As it slams into him, and there is a ripple of white and dark magical light that just kind of illuminates across his body as the next attack against him has advantage.
Yes. As it hits him, it explodes across his back. It burns away part of that really deep red crimson, very ornate jacket that he has. He screams, "Rah!" twitching and shaking as it burns through him. Pieces of his flesh singe and flail off of him as he staggers. Cade, you see the vampire drop to his knee, and he puts a hand down on the ground to steady himself. His fingers digging into what would be stone and cobblestone of the street, digging into the ground like sand as he clutches against the pane. You can see there is like a smoldering black coming out of his back, as basically he just got a crater shot through him. And you can see that some of his visage is starting to be weakened as well. There are now veins of like a purple color that are spread out across his face. He was very, very, very hurt by that. He is not enjoying this moment at all. And yes, Kalim, that was very powerful.
Are you sure he's not having fun? Because it sounds like to me he's having a blast.
I lied. He loves it. He loves everything about this.
Great, wonderful. And then for my bonus action, actually, no, I'm not gonna do that. Okay. I am going to move, however. Yes. I'm going to run up to here, kind of be using my undead elven grace to run across the edge of the of this fountain to get over to here.
Yes.
And for what it's worth, the other vampire lady is no longer afraid of me in the magically compelled sense of being afraid. She might still be afraid of me, but
yes,
she no longer has the frightened condition now that it's the end of my turn.
Good to know. Good to know. Yep. So yeah, you run across the fountain, you land over there, and you look on. And as you look on, as you see this vampire, he is like I said, screaming. Cade, you are there next to him, and as he is done screaming, let's say he's gripped his hand to the ground. He looks up slowly at yours, and you can see that there's black blood pooled around the edges of his eyes that are dripping down his face as he looks up to meet your gaze with hatred and anger. It's your turn, though.
As he looks up towards me, Cade, still on his horse, looking down with his glowing red eyes, will just look down at him with my glowing moon sword, and he will just look at him and just and then he will swing the sword and go for a decapitating strike, just like it's just like, oh. He's just trying to be scary. You know, he knows vampires, so he's trying not to. The way he fights is that even though he can see someone, he doesn't trust his eyes, so he's just using his instincts, because he's always not trying to anticipate where they go, but try to strike without thinking. So he's going just to look down and go for a strike.
Cool. He's not technically prone, but I will give you advantage on this attack due to his condition currently.
Sweet.
Well, yeah, he has guiding bolt slammed against him.
Oh,
so.
You know what?
Right.
There's that too. Yeah. So you know what? Never mind.
Right.
It wasn't my idea. It was the rules idea. Miko's giving you advantage.
Sweet. All right, so it's that shift. There we go.
It's like the shadowy energy just kind of moves the vampire towards Cade's blade.
Beckons towards Cade's blade.
That will be 22.
To hit? Yeah.
Yeah. And we will do damage. Oh, that will be 6 points of damage.
Okay. Alrighty.
Got to get that hunter's mark action in there.
Oh yeah, I do have it. I just
Okay.
haven't casted it yet, but I'm just gonna see how long this guy lasts. So he will slash once, see that it's a hit, see some of the that he's wounded,
Yes.
and he does have a second attack. So he's just gonna bring it up and then he's gonna bring it down.
Mm-hmm.
So I will take again. Do I get advantage on the second strike?
No,
It's just that first
It's
attack
just the
against,
first
yeah.
one, yeah.
Oh, well. In that case, I made a 13.
A 13 will not do it, unfortunately.
Okay.
But you know what? I said I was going to give you advantage before Miko gave you advantage, so go ahead and take advantage on that because, like I said, he's not really technically prone, but
Right.
I was going to kind of grant that to you. So that would be for the whole round because he's still down. So you
Okay.
can have advantage. It might not
Well,
make a difference.
I did roll it as advantage. I just took the lower roll, but
Oh, I see.
if I did get advantage, then it was 27.
Okay, well then that'll hit.
And on that one, 8 points of damage.
Okay,
Nice.
very nice. You guys are
A couple of
just-
quick slashes.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah, you hack down into the man's back and the back of his neck twice, and yeah, it's Flora, you hear that song continue to play, drowning out the vampire's screaming. What do you do?
Flora's gonna toll the bell again and keep her concentration on the Crown of Madness
Okay.
for Beefcake up there. And then she's gonna take out a small, just a really tiny little bell and ring that one and give Isra Bardic Inspiration
Oh.
and say, strike true, friend.
Nice.
Yes.
Yes, Isra, you feel compelled. You feel a little bit better as the vampires begin to make their movement. So we'll start off with the Renatus. He is going to actually try to do something here. We'll see what happens. He is going to, with a, first off, against your armor class Cade, a 21. Yep.
Yes,
He is
that will
going
hit me.
to, he gets up to his feet, and in a blinding motion, his one hand that doesn't bear the sword clutches in around your neck and grabs on, and you can feel his fingers dig into the side of you. Please make an opposed athletics test.
Okay. He can reach me from my horse. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I do, because I have a military saddle, I do get advantage on all skill checks on my horse.
Oh, okay, cool. Love it.
So you said that was athletics?
Mhm.
That would be 22.
22. Okay. Yeah, he does. He gets to his feet. He jumps up, and as you can see that his hand clutches in around your neck, you can actually see that he is, despite logic, he is basically standing, like perched, kind of like Spider-Man would be, on the side of your horse, holding onto your throat. And with a hold onto your throat, he takes that rapier and tries to stab you with it.
Oh.
It again flashes quickly. This shouldn't be possible, but there's something you definitely know for sure, something special happening with this rapier right now.
Shit.
To attack you, it's going to be almost a natural 20, so it's going to be a 26 to hit.
Ouch, yes.
Okay, rapier damage.
Kidneys.
Yes. You're going to take 8 points of piercing damage as he does shiv you with this sword. He's not able to pull you down off of the back of Luna, however.
Okay.
But that is what he does. So the other vampires, the big guy is going to, because he is still compelled to do so, he's going to attack the smaller guy. And he is going to miss him because he can't roll. And then the smaller guy is going to attack back. The natural 20. So
Oh,
the smaller guy, he actually just gets a very serious look on his face. He swipes out, and his hand connects with the side of the big guy's face, and he turns to look back at all of you, and as he does, he just pulls, and there's a popping sound as the head comes off. And as the body falls away, you see it wither and shrink as it looks like it starts to get desiccated from the fact that it's slain. And he turns and he holds the head down at his side, and there's blood that drips from the side of it. And he looks right at your direction, Flora. He says, "You shouldn't have made me do that." And he throws the head down on the ground. And then the woman, now knowing that she is not afraid of Kalim, is going to turn. I'm not finished with you yet. And she is going to turn to come at you with the cat of nine tails. So, roll to hit. 19.
That is my armor class.
Okay. You're going to take 11 points of damage, slashing damage.
Alrighty.
And she just whacks you right with it. There's a biting thing that hits into you because of the tails. They have hooks on the end of them, but you being reborn, you don't feel it as much as others might. And that is the vampire's turn. Yes, Isra, it is your turn.
Okay, so I pulled up Owlbear on my phone because it works better.
Oh, okay, cool.
I am going to, seeing that Cat of Nine Tails lady is engaged with my bestie, I'm going to move over a little bit to get, well, maybe a touch closer, to get within sight of her. And I'm going to, you see those sort of like tendrils of shadow that kind of have come from her eyes. They don't dissipate, but suddenly it's like they get sucked back into her eyes and they turn entirely white, and sort of like a wave of energy gets sent towards Cat of Nine Tails lady. Could she make an intelligence saving throw for me? DC is 16.
I think we can have her do that.
I'd rather she not.
I'd rather she not. Right? You said the DC was 16. She is going to fail with a 14.
Okay, so as this energy comes towards her, it sort of it strikes her in the chest. But you see this light sort of shine up, and she gets those tendrils on her face, and that was a psychic lance at 4th level, because that's what I can do, I guess. So that will be 29 points of psychic damage to her.
Okay.
Sweet Lord.
And in her head, she hears, it's different for everybody, but she hears just pure horror and terror. The screams that sort of, she can feel them in her bones, and it makes her whole body ache, and her head splits with agony as she takes that damage.
Excellent. Yes. The semi-scream that she lets out seems to echo these sounds that you also hear in your mind, Isra. The spirits within that you channel, being a medium, they are toiling just behind your control. They want to come out and play, but you're not really letting them quite yet. But we have seen a little bit of them kiss the night. So the townsfolk continue to run out of the way. They're hiding and everything like that. Kalim, it is the top of the round once more. You can see that the woman with the cat o' nine tails is definitely in your face. What would you like to do?
How injured is she?
She looks like she is relatively injured. I would say you could probably guess that she looks like she'd be at roughly half of her strength.
Excellent. So as a bonus action, I'm going to cast Spirit Shroud on myself. So as Kalim looks at this woman, is she technically undead, or is she living?
No, they're all undead. She basically the aristocrat guy is a full-on vampire. These other three are vampire spawn, is what's going on here.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So as Kalim stares at her, his gaze unwavering, the shadow wafting off of his armor, his sword just moves in front of him, and as it his sword and shield just move in front of him, and as he brings them together, he invokes a word of divine power, separating his shield and sword away from him, and a spiritual version of herself and her two companions just start flying around his form, looking as though they are screaming. They don't make any sound, but they look as though they are screaming in complete and utter agony as their forms morph and are stretched into horrifying, agonizing positions as they float around Kalim's body. And he's going to attack her.
All right.
Here, that is a 21 to hit. Okay, so that is going to be 7 points of slashing damage, 1 point of psychic damage, and then 2d8 of radiant damage for 5. So only a total of 13, but 5 of it was radiant damage.
Okay. Good to know. Alrighty. Yes, and yeah, your assault continues against her. She is being battered by your divinity that is flowing about you, even though it is made out of darkness, out of the shroud of the night. It is still aiding you in this moment. Cade, you are on your horse, grappled by Renaris. You can tell that he is trying to push the advantage against you with this wickedly fast blade. What would you like to do?
Well, as a bonus action, I am now going to cast Hunter's Mark.
Okay.
Oops. That's a bonus action, allowing me to give 1d6 extra damage if I
Yes.
him.
Absolutely.
And okay, so is his hand still around my throat?
It is.
Okay. Good. I like that.
All right.
Alrighty then.
I don't judge. No.
No, I just mean I like that for as a opponent. I like that because vampires are quick. So
yes. So you know where he is. You know he's not
yes.
doing anything. Yes.
So
Good point. Good
easier
point.
to strike because you're holding on to me. Easier for me to stab you.
Yes.
So we'll go. Well, what I would do is I know now that Luna's in danger. So as he's like stepping on the side of the horse, going to grab hold of the arm, slide off the horse as I try to cut the arm off. Just holding on to it like,
Okay.
just try to go for what I can grab hold of. So we'll go for that.
Okay.
Boom, 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 boom. Let me roll to attack. That was a natural 20.
Okay.
Nice.
I think that'll hit.
Yes. Get it.
Let's go.
So that is let's see, for critical, do I roll it twice or
Yeah, it's
Damage?
it's the damage dice twice plus your number modifiers added on after.
right? So that is 6. Oops, I clicked the wrong one.
And it's all your dice too, so your hunter's mark is gonna everything's gonna be all the
Six.
dice get double.
6. Oh, it's 12.
That's why sneak attacking for the crits is really gross.
1 second here. So that is
Sure.
and then plus a d6. Do. That is 28 points of damage.
Yeah. Okay. And yes, you do. In fact, that was both of your attacks. That was one of your.
No, that was one. That was just one attack. It was just grabbing.
Yes, you grab a hold of his hand and you swipe right through his arm, right above the elbow, and it severs completely. He screams and he starts to fall backward off the horse, opening himself up to you for your second attack.
Right, and at that point, I'm just going with the swing just to kind of slide off the horse so Luna can just run off. Now
Okay.
that his arm's in my hand, we'll just take the blade and going to try to impale him with the blade into the ground. 'Cause they're-
Oh, okay.
vampires are
roll.
fast. You got to slow them down. So,
Go ahead and roll it.
all right, let's see if I can follow that up. critical failure.
Oh, no.
Oh.
You get
Okay.
the dice give it, the dice take it away.
It was a natural one. That's
It
all right.
was
Do me
natural one.
a favor, please. Just go ahead and roll a dexterity saving throw.
Sure.
It's a little homebrew rule that I do here.
Ooh. 19.
Okay, so yeah, as you slide off the side of the horse and you land next to him, not really on top of him, you do miss with the sword, but you
Okay.
do manage to maintain your grip and you don't lose it.
Okay.
But you do kind of land next to him, holding onto his arm. He's on the ground screaming, "No! What have you done? What have you done?" And he's just holding his arm. His back is singed. His face is all just looking just disarrayed. And
I will take his
Flora.
arm and just go,
oh, yes.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Flora, the
Won't do that.
screams of the vampire seem to be going along with the rhythm of the music that you hear, the dance macabre that flows through you and plays along with the bells with a rhythm that only you hear. How do you answer it?
Is the little guy still kind of there in the middle of the square?
He is. He has not approached you yet, but you can see that he definitely is going to be coming for you. You can tell from his body language that you're his intention now.
I'm gonna move toward him as much
Okay.
as possible,
All right.
and I've put the other bells away that I've used, and I pull out another bell and I ring it, and the corpse of the beefcake, his head sort of fits back onto his body, and he raises up as I cast Animate Dead.
Oh, my.
That is so
Goodness.
nasty.
Oh my! Yes, 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 yes. So you do, yeah. You play the song. There is a different melody that changes, something that almost like there's another section of an orchestra that joins in with this song. And yeah, you see his body twitch and move. He actually grabs a hold of the dropped head, puts it back on top of himself, and he stands up. The smaller guy, as he's staring at you, he just kind of does one of these, slowly turns. He notices it behind him, and he goes, "Oh no, pet. I don't think so." And he just looks back and forth between the two of you, knowing that he's about to get surrounded here. Do you do anything else with your turn?
I believe that will be it.
Okay. So because this vampire spawn is now animated by you as an undead, does it go on its own turn? Does it go on your turn? How does that work?
Let me pull that back up a second.
It's almost always easier just to have them go on the caster's turn.
Yes, it is on my turn.
Cool. So I'll say for this round, it stands up and rights itself. That'll kind of be its full turn, I guess you will. I'm going to have the guy, the smaller guy who is standing, make a check real quick. Okay. And yeah, he seems to be slightly disheartened by this, but he is made of sterner things. He is not thrown away by this. So going back in order that we've been keeping with everybody, the aristocrat Renaris, he is going to try to get up from underneath you, Cade. So, to try to not get attacked by you or anything like that, he's going to try to pretty much do something fancy, and he can't. He's just too weakened by this point. You can tell he's injured. He does regain some of his hit points because he is a vampire. They do regenerate, so he gets some of his hit points back, but he is not able to stand. He sits there. He's just screaming, holding onto his arm. Again, he's yelling, "You'll die! You'll all die for this! You'll die!" He screams at you, and with that is going to be the beefcake's turn. Oh no, he's on your turn now, so it's gonna be the little guy's turn. Little guy kind of weighing his options about the fact that there's Beefcake and then there's you. He is going to actually attack Beefcake, and he is going to miss him with an 11.
I just took care of this guy.
I know, right?
I love that he's also called Beefcake now.
Yeah, why not?
Beautiful.
And and the woman with the cat of nine tails is going to attack you, Kalim. She's going to do a full attack action. And your armor class is a 19, you said?
That is correct.
Okay, then she will hit you once with a 19 and miss you the other time with a 9.
Okay.
So you're going to take from the one attack, minimum damage, you're going to take 8.
Right.
She does hit you with the cat of nine tails, but it's not really anything to write home about.
I got a 21 on my concentration, so I am able to maintain concentration.
Perfect. And Isra, it is your turn once more.
Fantastic. So I think what I shall do is, I'm still gonna go for cat o' nine tails lady. I'm gonna just once again summon the shadow from within, the tendril spiral around my hands, and I'm gonna shoot an eldritch blast at her.
Cool.
17 to hit.
17 will hit her. Yep.
Okay. So that will be 12 points of damage, and immediately as the first comes out, so does the second attack. A 15 to hit.
15 does. 15 hits her exactly.
Okay, and so that will be 14 more points of damage, and this one, same as before, I'm going to use one of my shadow points, spirit points, and throw a little extra damage in there. An extra 1 point of damage, so totally worth it.
Just a little bit of spice.
I think so. That's right, just a little.
Fun.
You again hear the sounds of the spirits talking to you. What do they say in this moment as you channel that?
This time, she hears that they say, "Yes, bring her to us."
And as your energy lances out, it hits through her, it blasts a hole clean through her chest, right through her sternum, and she just staggers, looks down at herself for a moment, and then she just slides and plops away and lands down on the ground.
And she'll look at Kalim and say, "You're safe now, Kalim."
Nice. Alrighty.
No response.
And Kalim, as you watch this vampire spawn drop away, destroyed by your friend, you look towards the others that remain. You can see that one of them is recently raised. You would assume by Flora. Yep. The other one is still standing there. The smaller one looks like he's pretty hardy still. He hasn't really been attacked or had any damage done to him, and he looks pretty mad. But you can also tell he is currently attacking the big guy.
Right.
So what would you like to do?
Oh, it's my turn, is it?
Yes, it is.
So, this might be very interesting for someone that is of my ilk, but you can never truly understand the light of the world until you have lived in darkness. And so, he will move over, putting himself between Renaris and Flora, right? Mm-hmm. And as he moves, he will just point his sword up into the sky, and this tendril of black flies out from the blade, and just above his head, a aura of pure daylight erupts in the space above, filling... how big is this? This is 60-foot radius from me. So essentially all of this. And as this blackness kind of erupts from his sword and hits just the area above him, and turns to pure, almost blinding compared to what the normal world is like, of course, but this radiant light just fills this area. He looks, because Renaris is still technically pinned beneath Cade, right?
For intents and purposes, yeah.
He locks eyes with Renaris before Renaris starts to go blind from seeing daylight. He locks eyes with him and says, "There is no darkness you can hide in from me." And I think that's his turn.
Okay.
When
so
you
what
cast
effect was
this daylight, Isra, it hits her eyes and she turns very fast and drops to a knee, sort of not a fan of what just happened.
Yes, Isra, you have to, despite yourself, have to turn away. Being Karevi, this is just too much even for you. The townsfolk, even because they have not seen daylight like this before, they actually kind of flinch away as well. It is only Cade, protected by his helm, and Flora. You actually look up at the light part of you inside embraces it on a weird level that you don't understand. As the daylight burns down, you see it come down. Does he take damage from this, Kalin?
I mean, he suffers the normal effects that any undead
Vampire will
creature
take, okay.
that would be subject from it. Like this counts as daylight, so if I'm understanding correctly, he shouldn't be able to heal.
Right.
And yeah, any
Perfect.
other ill effects that he would suffer from being within sunlight, essentially.
Absolutely. Cool.
Flora also starts to glow like a bright pink.
Oh, yes. I love that. Absolutely. The painting on your skin kind of looks a little different too.
Fluoresces.
I love it. Cade.
Does I'm assuming the spawn also has an ill reaction to the light?
Yeah.
Okay.
The remaining guy he's actually kind of turning his face away. He's also driven down to a knee like Renaris was a moment ago. The big guy kind of just stands there. He's not really affected because he's like full on undead, but it seems to have he's not really doing anything else. He's kind of just standing there. So you're backlit now, Cade, by this bright light. You can see your shadow streaming down over Renaris as he looks up at you. Still, no, it cannot be. It cannot be.
Cade will cast as a bonus action Ensnaring Strike, and then take his sword and attempt to attack him and strike him where his heart would be.
Okay. Yes, you'll get advantage on the attack.
Sweet. Boom, 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 boom.
Come on, Cade. Pretty good.
All right. And yeah, you bring your sword down and strike into him.
Yes, as he strikes down upon him, just standing over him as the light is shining around him. He will look down upon him as he's striking into where his heart should be, and just basically say,
"Foul beast of nature, meet your doom."
And then strike. And then
Yes.
he's gonna strike and then twist. He knows how to slay vampires, so he's gonna just, as his second action, the sword's still in him, and he's just gonna strike again.
I love
How
it.
much damage did you do on first
Yeah,
hit?
what's the damage on that?
That's a good question. The first one was just 6 points of damage.
Okay.
You also
It's
have Hunter's Mark.
Hunter's
and
Mark, yep.
Oh,
doesn't
that's
Ensnaring
right.
Strike also do damage?
You should.
Ensnaring Strike. Oh wait, I have to get to that.
But wait, there's
It's an
more.
extra
But
2,
wait.
so that's 8 points of damage. And
Eight
as
total.
the sword strikes him, vines are coming out of
Yep.
the ground to ensnare him, and he has to make a strength check DC 10. Otherwise, he'll take 1d6 points of damage every round. So a bunch of vines are just starting to hold him down.
Mhm. Yes, as we can see from the map, this section of this town was actually built upon the ruins of an old forest that was destroyed by magics done by the Hejlaki when they took over this area ages ago. And because of that, there are different sections of dead trees that are about mixed in throughout the buildings. One such section of roots you actually pull up out of the ground. They come up through the hole in this man's chest and begin to wrap out and around and snare him down into the ground. Your sword gets pulled down further into him. It goes halfway through the blade. You feel it connect with the ground and stab in, and as you twist and rake and push through him, it goes all the way down to the hilt, burying itself in his chest. You can roll or hit if you want, but I'm pretty much just, he's down. He's not really going to be doing anything. He's very, very weak at this point. So what kind of damage do you do if you hit again? If you want to roll to see if it's a crit, that's fine. Otherwise, you'll just do a regular attack.
I'll
way you miss it now.
I'll just roll for damage.
Okay,
It's
cool.
just going to be that's 11 plus d6. That will be 15 points of damage.
15. Okay. And as your sword gets all the way down, you finish the twist. He just screams out once more. Ah! And part of his skin pulls away. You can see the true form of the vampire within. This creepy humanoid bat demon-esque thing starts to be shown for a moment as he eventually goes limp, and the sunlight behind you dwindles and burns. And with that, he seems to be down for the know
Did
that
he drop to 0 hit points?
he is at exactly. Well, he would be at -1, but it's
think-
0. Yeah.
I mean, if he's in daylight and he drops to 0, doesn't that mean he turns to ash?
Yeah, I was gonna have that. Yeah, at the end of the round. But yeah.
Gotcha.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, he's pinned. He goes limp, and it seems to be that he is stuck, and he seems to be down for now. Yeah. So and as the sunlight begins to burn away his flesh and start to turn him into ash, it is going to be Flora, who looks away from the sun, aglow with its power. Her hair seems to be just glowing, bright, vibrant. It almost seems to match that blondish, silvery hair of her mother's that she had in her flashback earlier tonight. And as you look towards the vampire spawn, as he's recoiling from the light, he is trying to look up in your direction. What do you do?
I am going to cast Dissonant Whispers at 2nd level, which is a Wisdom 17 save.
Man, these guys can't roll saves tonight. He is going to fail with an 8.
All right, he will take 19 points of psychic damage,
Wow.
and then I will turn to Beefcake and, with my bonus action, say, "You can attack the man who killed you," and have him attack.
Okay. I'll have you go ahead and roll the die, and I'll just tell you he is going to have a +7 to hit.
Ooh, bad.
Oh,
9.
9. He comes forward. He attacks at the other vampire. The other vampire manages to just move out of the way just in time, and he is going to actually turn, and he's going to be done with that guy. He charges you, screaming, "No! You took my love from me!" And he rushes over towards you, Flora. He is going to try to take you out in this moment. So he comes at you.
Does he take any damage at the start of his turn for being in sunlight?
Yeah, he did. I've got that marked here.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. As he's running towards you, you can see there's remnants of the damage that is starting to affect him as well. He does come up to attack you. He is going to with a 14 and an 18.
The 18 will hit.
Okay. The claws.
And as it hits me, the little doll at my waist suddenly speaks and says, "You're going to regret that."
Oh my. All right. So the damage from his claws as he swipes out at you, you're just going to take 7. You rolled super low. And yes, the doll does say that. And there's a little bit of a spot around you where the sunlight doesn't reach because of the doll's words. That's it. He's it. So, Isra.
Oh, we're back.
Oh, we're
Okay.
Let's do it.
I'm just dazed from creepy doll. Wow. Okay, so I am going to do something. I guess. Yeah, I'm gonna move a little bit closer to Cade, so I have a direct line to. Is that Beefcake? Straight north.
Beefcake is this gentleman here.
Well, that's the resurrected,
Yes.
Resurrected.
ghoul version of Beefcake that is
This
under
is the smaller guy. Here.
under Flora's control.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'll stay over a little bit, and I'll go after little guy.
Okay.
And once again, I'm gonna Eldritch Blast because that's, I guess, what we do.
Yay, warlocks.
I mean,
Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
well, it's worth remembering you are technically at disadvantage right now because of the sunlight.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Ooh, that is a bummer.
So if you have
Okay.
something that makes him do a saving throw instead, you might want to do that.
Did you use your bardic inspiration already?
Oh yeah,
I-
you have that still. That's gonna be.
I
That could
did
help.
not.
that could help.
Yes. What do I get? Is it a
D8.
D8.
D8 for you? Okay. That's gorgeous. Let's do that.
Love it.
Okay, so that would be a total of 20 then.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
We'll take it.
And that'll do 11 points of damage, and the second one comes out immediately thereafter.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's a 9, so it just misses. The light is really fucking me up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, you're having a hard time aiming through it.
Thanks
definitely.
a lot.
Hey, it is what it is. All right. Kalim, you can tell that this fight is drawing to an end. You tell that this vampire, he is weakened. He is surrounded by daylight. He is hurt. You can tell that his fury and anger have taken over his senses. And you know it's time for you to put this baby to rest. So what would you like to do?
I step around the side of Flora. As I move, I just twist the blade in my hand so it's like a reverse grip, and I run a single finger across the top of the doll that just spoke.
Okay.
And then I go to slash at the vampire spawn guy.
Okay.
That is so unnecessarily creepy. I love it.
I think we have a whole party of edgelords. This is amazing.
So I accidentally rolled with advantage there, but my lowest roll was still a 21.
Okay, yeah, good. All right,
Okay.
all right.
So that is 10 points of slashing damage,
Oof.
2 points of psychic damage, and 12 points of radiant damage.
Oh, wow. Oh, boy.
So 24 total points of damage, 12 of which
Okay.
was radiant.
Yeah.
On top of the sunlight still being up there.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, and you know what? Just for shits and giggles, because I can,
Why not?
is if he's still up, I'm also going to, because it doesn't require concentration, cast Spiritual Weapon.
Oh, okay.
And have my spiritual weapon, which looks like in the sunlight it is sheathed in this like glowing radiance, like at its edges, but it looks like a like larger version of the sword that he holds, this onyx black blade that almost seems like a void in space.
Nice.
That's a 23 to hit.
Oh, yeah.
For another 19 points of radiant damage.
Okay. So, once a man who walked in the daylight as living, now perhaps cursed to walk the land, reborn as someone who no longer breathes, you do channel the darkness, and in this moment the daylight sees you through. As you surge forward your sword, after you rub a finger across the top of the doll, your sword in reverse strike, there is just a movement as you slash forward, and it's just a movement that is so fluid that it takes a second for the body of the vampire to catch up. As you surge forward and slice him in half, his body starts to slide away, and as it does, it begins to burn and cinder, and as it hits the ground, ashes splash out around as the vampire is destroyed. In this moment, all of the townsfolk, there is a long pause, and then one of them happens to step forward. Who are you people? And someone else, they are our saviors. They have come to destroy the Hizraki. They will free us all. And the townsfolk start cheering and coming forward and rushing into you guys, rushing into the light that still bathes around you all. And in this moment, you all see that these are people now filled with hope. These people now filled with a purpose. But Flora, this isn't entirely welcoming to you, because you know that this is fleeting for these people, because you guys won't be here forever. But there is a certain familiar song that starts to play, unheard by everyone else except for you. It is a courtly song that you hear almost as if someone is having some sort of dance, a ball nearby. And inexplicably, your vision is drawn towards the north. And as you look off in that direction, you do see the city of spires that rises up across the horizon, bony fingers of metal that jut up these various structures. and within, you know that there is work to be done. All four of you stand in this moment surrounded by people knowing that they need your help, but knowing that this help has only just begun. And so tonight we will end our tale there, here in the Blood Domain, as you have vanquished what would seem to be a low-ranking, hopefully, member of the Vampire Court, and there may perhaps be repercussions for that at a later time. But that is a tale for another time.
If I may interject real quick.
Please.
So, when very quickly after the fight is obviously ended, Kalim will point his sword at the sky once again and absorb all of that daylight back into his blade, and it kind of washes down the blade in an almost spiral-like fashion, mixing white light and darkness together until it vanquishes entirely. And he will go and approach Isra and kind of extend a hand to her, and with the closest thing to emotion that anyone can see from him, he will simply look at her with sorrow in his eyes and say, "I apologize for having to do that."
It was very smart. It was good work. Just warn me next time.
The light and the dark give no warning for anyone, but I will try.
That is fair.
Beautiful. I'm glad we didn't miss that. And now we will conclude our tale for tonight on this moment of these four heroes victorious. Please join us next time as we'll continue this tale. So, thank you all for watching tonight. This has been amazing. I would like to go around and give all of these awesome players a chance to say who they are, where you can find them out there on the interwebs and all that. Because if you're anything like me, you fell in love with them immediately tonight. So please, everybody, please go around, say who you are. We're going to go in the same order we all were introduced in. So let's start right here on my left on your screens. Adrian, thanks very much for playing tonight, man. Love what you did with Cade. I cannot wait to see what the next 3 episodes bring. So please, go ahead.
Thanks. It was a lot of fun to bring Cade to life with all of you and have a collaborative story. My name is Adrian. I played Cade tonight, and you can find me on the internet on Twitter or X or whatever it is at Sly Sparrow. I'm also on Instagram and Twitch. So let's have a conversation. Let's talk role-playing games and other nerd things. I'm a big gamer, so looking forward to talking with you all.
It's still
Awesome.
Sly Sparrow _, right?
Right, Sly Sparrow _
I was worried that I had it wrong in the
No, you're
overlay.
good.
I know,
I forget sometimes.
Yeah, okay.
Awesome.
Just making sure.
Yes. Thank you, Adrian. Like I said, appreciate it. I can't wait to see what else you're going to do with Cade in these coming weeks because we have some good stuff planned. So thank you very much for being here tonight for this. We'll jump on over to the other side to Beth. Beth, thank you so much for hanging out. It's always fun to play with you. We do this all the time, so thanks for being back. So, Beth, tell us, where can we find you? What are you up to? And Beth's being sick tonight, so thank you, Beth, for being awesome. So, go ahead.
I can't really miss this. This is the best part of my week. So, yes, I am Beth. I'm on the internet at Beth Masco, pretty much everywhere. Tonight I was Isra. Surprisingly, not the creepiest in the group, despite everything that she is. You can also find me over at Wanderer's Haven with a couple of you knuckleheads. On Wednesdays I play in a very special game that Miko will probably talk about, and then I am also playing over at Guild Superior. The Bleak season has a Lord of the Rings game going on,
So good.
and that has been so much fun.
So good.
Awesome players, great story. So if you feel like checking that out, it's definitely worth it. But I'm just excited to see where all of this goes. This is going to be great.
Thank you so much, Beth. Appreciate it. And yeah, Beth is awesome. Check her out on all these other things, please, because we love hanging out with you. So thank you, Beth. Jump down to the bottom with Deb. Deb, this was amazing having you here. You are a treasure to play with. you're super cool. We all know this,
Thanks.
but thank you for being here. Tell us a little bit about where
Thank
we
you
can
so
find you out
much.
there. Yeah.
Yes, I am on Instagram at dsweats. If you try that on Twitter, you're gonna get a guy from Texas.
Yes.
That's not me.
No.
I'm not on Twitter, but Instagram at dsweats. On Wednesdays, I am joining Beth and Miko for the Ystera game over at Wanderer's Haven. And I'm around. I am looking forward to being in more games, and this has been an absolute delight being Flora and the aspiring weird creep of the group.
Yeah.
So much fun. I loved it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Deb. I truly appreciate you, and I appreciate it. So thank you so much. And finally, let's go down to our producer, a good buddy of ours, also found on Wanderer's Haven with some of us. Miko, thanks for hanging out, man. I love your character, love what you're doing. So please tell us what else you're doing besides those things that I mentioned.
Well, I love the fact, let me just say, that we are all just a touch creepy in this. That's
I love it. I love it.
Just a little bit.
There's a synchronicity there that I think
Mhm.
is just exceptional.
Yeah.
Love everything that we did tonight. It was so much fun. I don't get very many opportunities to play, so I'm very happy that this is a game that I get to play in, because it is absolutely amazing. Love all of you people. But yeah, hi, I am Miko, otherwise known as the OKSGM. You can find me on most all the socials at the_OKS_GM, or for the few places that don't allow underscores, just the OKSGM. Yeah, I am a producer here, and I'm on the production team over at Wanderer's Haven. I do a few things around in other places. I make homebrew. I have my own homebrew world. You can check out everything there is to know. Just look me up on the socials. You'll find all that awesome stuff. And in particular, let's see. Oh, I'm running a one-shot on Sunday over on Wanderer's Haven that Kev gets to be in. That's going to be hella fun. It's a Cypher superheroes game in which everyone that's playing are playing college students. Which I'm very much looking forward to, because a couple of the individuals involved in that game are in the college scene right now, both as like student and teacher. So it should be an interesting experience. But yeah, that's going to be a ton of fun. Wednesdays, as Beth mentioned, my Ystera world over on Wanderer's Haven. Tons of great role-playing going on over there, particularly from two of the other lovely individuals on this screen. Yeah, got all kinds of stuff coming up in the future, and I hope anyone watching can come and be a part of that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Miko. Yeah. And as I mentioned, Miko is the producer here on this channel, so he does all of the cool overlays, all the custom art that you're seeing. He's helping with so much, running the music, doing all the cool cues, and I can't thank him enough for that. So Miko, thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate you. As I mentioned before, I am Kevin. I am going to be the Dungeon Master for the foreseeable future here on Notte Eterna. I am the U.S. Ambassador for the brand. Jason Forbes and Stephen Forbes over from Italy, having me spearheaded over here. I have been absolutely joyed to be a part of it. It is a really cool setting. I love the grimdark setting, and I like the fact that, like Miko said, everybody's a little bit creepy. So much fun. We're building a world here, and I really love that. If you want to play some Notte Eterna, you can. You can actually go to the link that is above me, or go to the link tree that I believe is below us still.
No, it's all above.
No, it is above. Yeah, it's above too. It's all above us now. Great. I appreciate that. And you can download the quick start. You can also find out more information about the setting. You can see some of these custom races and classes that these characters were playing tonight. And you can also get onto the backer kit to get your own copy of the game when it does launch in just a few months. It had a very successful Kickstarter that we were all happy to be a part of. And it's really, really cool. Really great stuff coming out. Lots more to see and do. But yeah, we are going to be back next week for another adventure of Blood Domain, part 2, as it were. This will be a 4-part arc. We do these little mini arcs leading into a bigger story that is all interconnected. We'll start to see threads of that coming in next week. But if you want to find me not here, you can find me on Wanderer's Haven with Miko and with Beth, because we're part of the production team there. Played with Deb over there before, and it's a blast over there. We have all kinds of fun stuff, and I get a chance to sometimes play on Guild Superior with Adrian, which is how we met, which is a lot of fun too. But yeah, I'll be in that Cypher game on Sunday, as Miko mentioned, and some other fun things too. So Thank you all for hanging out with us tonight. I want to thank Tabletop Audio for the cool music that got played. Again, I want to thank the Dungeon Madams for the map that I got to use. And also, I want to just thank each and every one of you for playing. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you. And finally, thank you all at home for hanging out with us tonight. Before we go, let's go ahead and make sure that we know that we are going to raid our good friend, Bleak Season. He's the man, he's the myth, he is the legend. And we're going to send you all over there. If you don't like his stuff, I'd be shocked. He is top-notch DM storyteller. He knows what he's doing. You guys are going to love it over there. So, tell him we sent you. So until next time, we see you all next week. Same time, same channel. Remember to stay safe out there, and may the moon smile upon you. Good night, one and all. Thank you.